Chapter 949. In the sky, Tu Yen Wuti fought against Yen Chuan, but Yen Chuan was still calm. Sword doppelganger? Not bad. Yen Chuan smiled slightly. Humph. Yen Wuti snorted coldly. Whoosh. Suddenly, one Yen Wuti appeared to the east and the west of Yen Chuan. For Yen Wuti besieged Yen Chuan, slashing at Yen Chuan from all directions. At this moment, in everyone's eyes, Yen Chuan's sword became even slower. He slowly swung his sword to the south, repelling all the sword rivers in the south. He slowly swung his sword to the north, repelling all the sword rivers in the north. He slowly and unceasingly repelled Yen Wuti's endless attacks. What sword technique is this? Yen Wuti asked in surprise. Sword 22 of the 24 moves of sword. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Sword 22. Yen Wuti's face became more and more ruthless. Whoosh! More and more Yen Wuti appeared. In an instant, 9 Yen Wuti appeared in the storm of sword chi. They attacked Yen Chuan from 9 different directions at an extremely terrifying speed, slashing at him with sword after sword. At this moment, the disciples of the Dugu family also gradually became serious. That was because the disciples of the Dugu family were finally able to see that Yen Chuan's sword Dao was extremely frightening. Sword 23. Yen Chuan shouted softly. Boom! Yen Chuan swung his sword, and the Jade Emperor's sword left behind afterimages. These afterimages did not disappear, but slashed at the heaven-mending sword, and erupted with a force that suppressed the heaven-mending sword. Streaks of heaven-mending sword energy were counterattacked. For a moment, the battlefield between Yen Chuan and Yen Wuti seemed to have turned into a huge lotus. The lotus had 4 layers. The first layer was Yen Wuti's sword Chi Storm, the second layer was Yen Chuan's sword Chi Storm, the third layer was Endless Heaven Mending Sword, and the fourth layer was Endless Jade Emperor's Sword. A huge sword lotus bloomed in the sky above Yen capital. Countless sword cultivators looked at the sword light that filled the sky. For a moment, a large number of sword cultivators seemed to have an epiphany as they felt the aura of the endless divine sword. Yen Wuti slashed again and again, and Yen Chuan easily dealt with it. Yen Wuti's face showed a trace of anxiety. Roar! The 9 Yen Wuti suddenly roared. Suddenly, Yen Wuti's hair turned blood red, and an endless mist of blood surrounded him. Blood demon! Countless cultivators exclaimed in shock. The same as His Majesty? A courtier cried out. On the other hand, the Yen clan's relatives widened their eyes in shock. How can this be? Isn't the blood demon only His Majesty and his son have it? Yen Wuti has it too. Could it be the bloodline inheritance of the Yen clan? Suddenly, a Yen clan relative came to a realization. At the same time, the Yen clan relatives' hearts trembled. If Yen Wuti could do it, then they could do it too. In the sky, Yen Wuti turned into a blood demon and his body emitted an extremely evil aura. Ha ha ha, Yen Chuan, die! Yen Wuti shouted excitedly. Whoosh! The sword light that Yen Wuti unleashed once again turned blood red. Furthermore, the power of each sword light was more than 10 times greater, and the speed was also more than 10 times faster. In an instant, the blood river rushed down from all directions, rushing towards Yen Chuan from 9 different directions. It added a glamorous glow to the peerless lotus. Yen Chuan waved his sword and suddenly became a little embarrassed. Yen Chuan didn't use any super skills or other means. He still fought sword against sword. 9 blood seas surged over, bringing with them the power to destroy the world, suppressing Yen Chuan to the point where he was momentarily flustered. Chapter 950. You're indeed born with a sword bone. Yen Chuan smiled excitedly. 24 swords. Yen Chuan shouted. Buzz! With Yen Chuan as the center, a sword chime spread in all directions. As soon as the sword chime was heard, the surrounding sword chi, Sword aura and sword aura rose. Buzz! Buzz! The swords of countless sword cultivators around Yan Jin also vibrated, as if they were echoing the sound of Yan Chuan's Jade Emperor sword. Almost all the swords in the entire Yan Jin vibrated. Even the swords of the disciples of the Dugu family also vibrated. Impossible. The Emperor's sword's chime is enough to make all the swords bow to it. Only the old master can do that. How can Yan Chuan do it? A disciple of the Dugu family exclaimed. The disciples of the Dugu family also exclaimed. High up in the sky, the blooming sword lotus violently trembled at this moment. The first layer of sword chi collapsed with a bang. The second layer of Yan Chuan's sword chi also collapsed. 8 of the 9 sword rivers on the third layer suddenly vibrated and collapsed. Only one of them was still struggling. At the same time, the Jade Emperor's sword also clashed with that one. Boom! The Jade Emperor's sword and the Heaven-Mending sword clashed, creating a storm in the sky. The clouds in a 10,000-mile radius were blown away. Yan Wudi's body was sent flying like a shooting star, crashing into a mountain peak in the distance. Boom! The mountain peak exploded with a loud bang. Yan Wudi's body fell into the broken mountain. Yan Chuan stepped forward. Family Master. The disciples of the Dugu family immediately rushed over. Whoosh! Bai Ditian, Jin Dayu, and Hu Guang immediately stood in front of them. Get out of the way, the disciples of the Dugu family exclaimed. However, Bai Ditian, Jin Dayu and Hu Guang didn't give way at all. Rumble! Everyone started fighting again. In the ruins, Yan Chuan looked at Yan Wudi, who was lying on the ground. Yan Wudi's blood-red hair had already disappeared as he withdrew his super divine ability. Looking at Yan Chuan, Yan Wudi's eyes were red, and sorrow was brewing in his eyes. Wudi, you're the most talented swordsman I've ever seen. Although you lost, it's only because of me. You're only at the lower void realm. Even if you use your super divine ability to push your strength to the middle void realm, you still can't compare to me in terms of experience. At the same level of swordsmanship, no one is your opponent. You even forced me to use the 24 moves of sword. You've inherited Dugu Butian's legacy, so you'll have limitless potential in the future. Don't think about the past anymore. Looking at Yan Chuan, Yan Wudi felt a lump in his throat. It was like a child getting scolded by an adult for doing something wrong. Go and burn some incense for Yan Qiuyu. Yan Chuan sighed softly. Yan Chuan turned and walked away. However, Lu Jin flew over. Yan Wudi, this is the letter that Yan Qiuyu asked His Majesty to leave for you. His Majesty asked me to give it to you. Lu Jin handed over Yan Qiuyu's will before she died. Looking at the unopened letter, Yan Wudi felt a lump in his throat. At the same time, his eyes became moist. Father, I'm unfilial. Yan Wudi gently took Yan Qiuyu's will. Yan Qiuyu asked Yan Chuan to pass the letter to her son so that Yan Chuan could read the contents. She didn't want her son to take revenge. She hoped that Yan Chuan could give her son a path. How could Yan Chuan not understand? However, Yan Chuan still didn't open the letter. After taking the letter, Yan Wudi wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. Then, he flew towards Yan Qiuyu's grave. Chapter 951. At Yan Qiuyu's grave. Yan Wudi brought his younger siblings to offer incense to Yan Qiuyu. A few members of the Yan clan had also arrived. Of course, there were only a few of them. 50 years had passed, and Yan Qiuyu's death had gradually faded from everyone's minds. Yan Wudi visited the grave, and everyone tried to persuade him. The Dugu clan members stood not far away, waiting. His younger siblings were still a little sad. Yan Wudi then took out the letter. The words, "To my son Wudi," were written on it. With a heavy heart, Yan Wudi tore open the envelope and began to read. It was Yan Qiuyu's handwriting. Back then, Yan Qiuyu had given Yan Wudi a secret signal that she would put more emphasis on the fifth and last word of her letters. The letter in front of him was obviously written by Yan Qiuyu herself. My son, I have made a bad decision. I may die for it, but I have no regrets. If I fail, please do not resent Yan Chuan. It has nothing to do with him. If I die, I have only myself to blame. But in my heart, I really want to give it my all, even if my bones are crushed. This is my will as a father, and I will not regret it even if I die 10,000 times. I also understand that Yan Chuan treats the Yan clan extremely well, even better than I did back then. I can see that the Yan clan's glory is coming. It is in you, in Yan Chuan. Do not resent Yan Chuan. The Yan clan can only achieve glory by concentrating. I am not as good as Yan Chuan. Although you are born with the sword bone, I can see that your achievements are at most that you can become the leader of a sect, no matter how strong it is. As an emperor, you cannot be stronger than Yan Chuan. Take good care of your younger brother and sister. Father can't protect you anymore. I know that you will definitely resent Yan Chuan, but don't. If you want to resent someone, resent the Thousand Buddha Holy Ground and the Great Buddha Imperial Dynasty. I no longer had the ambition to become an emperor back then, but those bastards kept on egging me on. I understood that if I didn't agree, I would have died then and there. My little ambition was forced to inflate by them. If I succeed, you won't be able to see this letter. If I die, it means that the 10,000 Buddha Holy Ground and the Great Buddha Imperial Dynasty forced me to do so. They are the ones who killed me. My son, I can see that Yan Chuan values you a lot. Do your best to assist Yan Chuan. Even if I die, it's enough that you're alive. That's enough. Looking at the letter, Yan Wudi's eyes teared up again. Thousand Buddha Holy Grounds, Great Buddha Empire. Yan Wudi roared in anger. Big brother, what did father say? The younger siblings asked in tears. Yan Wudi passed the letter to his brothers and sisters. Everyone looked at it. I know. Kong Mok, Kong Mok. A younger brother's eyes were filled with hatred. 7 days later, Lu Gang led Yan Wudi to the prison. Yan Wudi was wrapped in a black robe. His face couldn't be seen. In the prison, there was a huge prison cell. A group of black-robed men sat cross-legged. Although their cultivation was sealed, they had a certain foundation. They hadn't eaten or drunk for decades, but they were still alive. Lu Gang, don't you know that we are from the Thousand Buddha Holy Ground? We are loyal to Emperor Mo Ku and have imprisoned us for more than 50 years. We can let bygones be bygones. If you don't let us go now, when Emperor Mo Ku arrives, you will all die. A black-robed man said coldly. Marquis Yan, this is the group. His Majesty said that you can deal with them. Lu Gang said solemnly. Chapter 952. After saying that, Lu Gang left the heavenly prison, leaving Yan Wudi alone. Marquis Yan? Yan Qiuyu? You're not dead yet? A black-robed man asked in surprise. How's that possible? Yan Qiuyu, quickly take us away. I'll fulfill my promise to you in the future. As long as you find Emperor Mo Ku, he'll give you everything. Yan Qiuyu, do you still remember the taste of the bone-melting poison powder? It's only 100 years. You should remember that once 100 years is up, you'll once again experience the feeling of begging for death. Quickly take us out. Everyone shouted. Yan Wudi held the hilt of the heaven-mending sword in his hand. His entire body seemed to be trembling. A wave of killing intent filled the heavenly prison. The harvest of 10,000 years. Everyone was constantly absorbing and fusing these countless memories and comprehensions. At the same time, spirit stones were madly provided to everyone. In a volcano near Yanjing, Jin Dayu sat cross-legged in the depths of the magma with a huge bell in front of him. Clang! The huge bell trembled slightly, and the magma in the entire volcano boiled. What a powerful force. The power of my birth charts has increased by a lot this time. Mohina Dojin. If it's still the Mohina Dojin I fought back then, I can crush you with one hand now. Jin Dayu said excitedly. In front of him, the patterns on the huge bell became clearer. The Celestial Gate? Back then, when the Celestial Gate opened, even a saint would be killed. Unfortunately, you're far inferior to the Celestial Gate. You're not the only Celestial Gate. However, one day, I'll let you reach the height of the Celestial Gate. You're the first Celestial Gate. I named you the Divine Emperor Bell in the name of my ancestor, Jin Dayu said solemnly. Clang! The huge bell trembled violently, and the entire sea of magma seemed to be churning. Outside Yanjing, in the east, there was an inland sea. Countless cultivators had been moved away from all directions. On the shore of the sea, Yan Chuan stood on a reef with his mouth open to the sky. In the sky, rolling tribulation clouds churned endlessly. In the tribulation clouds, lightning like dragons were constantly churning. However, at this moment, the churning dragons seemed to have a look of fear on their faces. A huge force in Yan Chuan's mouth was crazily pulling the tribulation clouds in the sky. Not far away stood Purplish and Meow Meow. Meow, he's going to devour the tribulation clouds again. Yan Chuan had reached the upper void stage so quickly. What a freak! Meow Meow exclaimed. ZZ smiled and said, aren't you the same? Don't go transcend the tribulation, many people will be deceived by you. Meow, I'm gifted. How can I be the same as Yan Chuan? Meow Meow cried. 69 heavenly tribulations, Yan Chuan has also ascended to the emptiness realm. ZZ's eyes flashed with a hint of happiness. Rumble, layers of tribulation clouds were quickly swallowed by Yan Chuan. Within the 9 heavenly tribulation, the countless lightning dragons that were originally there were now helplessly swallowed into Yan Chuan's stomach. Rumble. The tribulation clouds were completely absorbed by Yan Chuan. The sky was cloudless in an instant, as if the tribulation didn't happen at all. Meow, let's go. Meow shouted. Wait. Purple shook its head. In the distance, Yan Chuan sat cross-legged. He turned his hand, and a large number of spiritual stones suddenly appeared around him. Rumble. In the spiritual stones, rolling energy quickly flowed into Yan Chuan's body. Yan Chuan's cultivation was still skyrocketing. Whoosh! Chapter 953. With a gentle breeze, a large number of spirit stones that had their heaven and earth origin energy sucked away were reduced to dust and scattered with the wind. Meow! Meow! My spirit stones! What a waste! What a wastrel! Meow cried out in pity. ZZ smiled and rubbed Meow's head. After 10 spirit stone mountains were extracted, Yan Chuan finally stopped. Third level upper void stage. Yan Chuan slowly opened his eyes and looked at the vast sea in front of him. He exhaled softly. Yan Chuan could continue to rise to the next level, but Yan Chuan did not. It was enough for him to reach the third level of the upper void stage. The remaining birth chart power would have to be used to strengthen his current cultivation base. Yan Chuan did not get up. Instead, he looked at the thundercloud in the sky above his Shinting meridian. As soon as the thundercloud absorbed the heavenly tribulation, it changed slightly. A faint red color appeared on the cloud. The fourth level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture. Yan Chuan was overjoyed. The third level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture, spring lightning, myriad creation. The fourth level. So what? Yan Chuan stood up and looked at ZZ. Vine demon, protect ZZ and Meow. Yan Chuan shouted. Swoosh. A large number of vines quickly surrounded ZZ. Meow. What's Yan Chuan going to do? Meow asked curiously. In the distance, Yan Chuan looked at his surroundings. Spring lightning. Hong. As the spring lightning rumbled, everything in the surroundings suddenly grew wildly. For a time, the vegetation grew lush. The spring lightning's ability was still there. Yan Chuan pondered for a moment before thunder rumbled again. Hong. The fourth level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture, heavenly lightning. A loud noise rang in the air. Without warning, the sky where Yan Chuan was standing became scorching hot. A white light in the shape of a big fire swept out in all directions. Everywhere it passed, mist rose into the sky. Whoosh! Whoosh! The steam from the sea rose into the sky. The earth was steaming, and the terrifying heat instantly swept through the area. Within 10,000 miles, all the plants and trees on the land had withered, and all the water had dried up. The earth had dried up, and in an instant, the earth had cracked in all directions. The earth and rocks had turned into sand, and the land had turned red for 10,000 miles. The vast sea was instantly sucked dry. Water vapor soared into the sky, and the seabed was completely exposed. Moreover, countless dry cracks appeared on the seabed, and it was completely desertified. Countless fish were struggling and jumping in the desert. The sea had turned into a desert in the blink of an eye. Thousands of miles of land, extremely dry and withered. Meow, meow, what's going on? Meow suddenly cried out. ZZ was slightly stunned. A glint flashed across Yan Chuan's eyes. Xia Lei. With a single shout from Xia Lei, 10,000 li of land will be scarlet? Yan Chuan was surprised. Yan Chuan looked at the rolling dark clouds in the sky and his eyes narrowed. Hong. Another loud noise came from the thundercloud in the blue sky. Crash. A huge rainstorm poured down like a waterfall from the sky. In the blink of an eye, the dry land was washed away by a large amount of rain. Soon, Yan Chuan was submerged in a huge flood. The torrential flood was like a flood dragon, wreaking havoc in all directions. The land was submerged. Although it was still flowing towards the original sea, Yan Chuan was not in the mood to care about it at this moment. Spring lightning, all things grow. Xia Lei, chaos appear. If it was someone else, it would not be useful. However, Yan Chuan did not think so. Xia Lei. Chaos? This was not just a method, but a Tao of heaven and earth. It could let Yan Chuan understand the truth of heaven and earth. Chapter 954. A few months later. East of Yan capital. In a mountain forest. Thunderclouds churned in the sky. Huo Guang's body was shrouded in bloodlust as he withstood bolts after bolts of lightning. In the end, he punched the sky and sent a blood-red energy fist toward the tribulation clouds. Boom! The tribulation clouds shattered with a loud bang. Huo Guang took a deep breath and stood on top of a giant rock. He closed his eyes and sensed the breakthrough in his cultivation. Yan Chuan, Feng Yinyang, and Lu Jin looked at Huo Guang, who was not far away. Huo Guang has reached the ethereal realm. Lu Jin exclaimed. Who would have thought that in less than 100 years, Huo Guang would actually be able to advance from immortal to the emptiness realm? Huo Guang's 200 doppelgangers have been on the battlefield for the past 50 years. That's equivalent to 10,000 years of killing. What a terrifying achievement. Feng Yinyang shook his head and exclaimed. You're not bad yourself. I remember that you've been fighting with Feng Shui masters in the immortal realm. Yan Chuan said with a smile. I can only say that I've barely reached my master's level. I'm still slightly lacking compared to those immortal Feng Shui masters. Feng Yinyang said humbly. Immortal? Lu Jin, do you know how to become an immortal? Yan Chuan asked. Lu Jin thought for a moment and said, Jin Dayu once told me. Oh. The 9th level of the upper void realm allows one to undergo the heavenly tribulation and become an immortal. There are 12 levels in the upper void realm. The 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th levels allow one to undergo the heavenly tribulation. The higher the cultivation, the stronger the immortal. There are 4 types of immortals: heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. Heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. Yellow is also called human, and it's the weakest. Lu Jin explained. Yan Chuan nodded. Yan Chuan added, the reason Bai Ditian didn't quickly undergo the heavenly tribulation and ascend after he recovered his cultivation base from his previous life was because he was only at the 9th level of the upper void realm at that time. He wasn't satisfied with his current cultivation base. If he wanted to become an immortal, he would have to undergo the heavenly tribulation. There aren't many powerhouses in the mortal realm in the mortal realm. Your Majesty, what's Bai Ditian's current cultivation base? 10 10 10 10 10. He should be at the 10th level of the upper void stage. He should still be a little bit away from the 11th level. At this moment, Dezhen's cultivation base should be the highest. Your Majesty, when will we enter the heavenly mystery dreamland again? Feng Yinyang asked expectantly. Yan Chuan shook his head and said, let's properly comprehend what we've learned in the past few years. The heavenly mystery dreamland isn't omnipotent. It can create a group of powerhouses, but it can't create the strongest. Some strengths need to be accumulated over time. Moreover, if there are too many clones, they'll have different emotions and conflict with each other. What you need to do now is to constantly eliminate these conflicting emotions. Yes. Everyone nodded. At the peak of a mountain in the northern divine continent, a group of white-haired old men looked up at the stars in the sky. They seemed to be calculating something with their hands. A white-robed woman stood at the side. She was the woman who looked very much like Yan Chuan's wife in his previous life, Zhen Rou. She was the heavenly lady of the Archaic Mysteries sect. Everyone looked up at the sky. A white-haired old man frowned and said, the heavens are dead, and the heavenly Tao has collapsed. Our heavenly mystery art can only calculate a little now. Sigh. Another white-haired old man said worriedly, the collapse of the nether realm is actually the nether realm of the sealed world merging with the nether realm of the celestial realm. However, from this moment onward, the new life of the sealed world will be impure. Chapter 955. Heavenly Lady, you came from the celestial world. How is the celestial world now? An elder looked at the heavenly lady. The heavenly lady took a deep breath and said solemnly, the factions of the celestial world have finally risen to the top after fighting each other. Oh. How are these factions compared to before the great ancient calamity? An elder asked excitedly. Soon. The situation is about to take shape. The heavenly lady took a deep breath and said. The elders clenched their fists in excitement. After the great ancient calamity, the world was in a state of desolation. Now, things are finally looking up. Goddess Xichen sealed the 5 realms back then with the greatest purpose of ensuring the purity of the ancient divine souls and bloodlines. This is the last sealed realm. The netherworld has been destroyed. If we don't act now, Goddess Xichen's plan will be useless. Everyone, I propose that the God creation plan begin now. Everyone fell silent for a while, then nodded. God creation plan. Let's begin. I have information on all the outstanding people in the world. Inform them to come to the Archaic Arcanum sect and accept the gift. An elder said with a serious expression. Yes. Everyone answered. Great Jin Empire, Yen Capital, Upper Study Ruma group of ministers stood in front of the study table. Yan Chuan had returned and was looking at the different memorials. There were the secret reports from Lu Gang and the endless information collected by Meng Wenrua. North Divine Continent, Zhu. Yao Tiansheng. The Yao race can also establish a fate dynasty. Yan Chuan frowned as he looked at one of the memorials. Meng Wenrua stepped forward. Your Majesty, it has been confirmed that Zhu was the strongest person in the world 30,000 years ago. However, he was a Yao in his previous life. In this life, Zhu shed his Yao body and turned into a human. He established a Fate dynasty with a human body. In this life, Yao Tiansheng is still a Yao. Moreover, he is imitating the great Jin Empire. It is called the Yao Imperial Empire. Meng Wenruo explained. Yao race? Imperial Empire? Your Majesty, the Lushan Academy of the North Divine Continent. After submitting to the Yao Imperial Empire, Zhu took all the Fate dynasty and formed it. Meng Wenruo explained. Lushan Academy is gone too. Yan Chuan pondered for a while. Yes, of the 4 great academies in the world, the Yushan Academy has submitted to the Dayu Celestial Empire, while the Lushan Academy has submitted to the Yao Imperial Empire. The only ones left are the Julu Academy and the Confucius Academy. Perhaps Your Majesty has heard of the Confucius Academy. The dean of the Confucius Academy is Your Majesty's grandfather, Kong Daoqiu. Meng Wenruo explained. Kong Daoqiu. Grandpa. Ha! Yan Chuan sneered. Yan Chuan didn't have a good impression of Kong Daoqiu. Otherwise, when Kong Mok forced Kong Susu to her death, why didn't Kong Daoqiu stop him? Yan Chuan did not believe that Kong Daoqiu did not have the ability to do so. While everyone was discussing, Lu Jin's voice came from outside the hall. Your Majesty, Yan Wudi requests an audience. Lu Jin's voice sounded. Yan Wudi. The expressions of the ministers changed. Your Majesty, we will take our leave. Meng Wenruo said. Yan Chuan nodded. The ministers slowly left, leaving only Yan Chuan in the study. Let him in. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. Soon, Yan Wudi stepped into the study. Yan Wudi was silent at this moment. Yan Chuan watched as Yan Wudi walked over until Yan Wudi was right in front of him. Uncle Chuan, your nephew was rash that day. Yan Wudi's voice was laced with guilt. Patting Yan Wudi's shoulder, Yan Chuan smiled faintly and said, Rash? I can understand how you feel. Let bygones be bygones. Although it's a pity for Yan Qiuyu, he still has you. Having you as his son was his greatest pride. You being able to live a good life was what he wanted to see before he died. Yan Wudi's eyes flashed with sadness. What do you plan to do next? Yan Chuan asked. Yan Wudi took a deep breath and was silent for a moment before he said, Your nephew promised to come back and help Uncle Chuan once I subdued the Dugu family. My father also hoped for this. If Uncle Chuan doesn't mind. Ha 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 ha, I can't ask for more. Tell me, what do you want to do? Yan Chuan was in a good mood. This was the first time that Yan Chuan had let someone else choose an official. From this, it could be seen that Yan Chuan was very satisfied with this nephew of his. Yan Wudi naturally saw it too. At the same time, his eyes flashed with emotion. Uncle Chuan, I don't like politics. I like fighting more. I don't ask for fame. I just want to help Uncle Chuan. Yan Wudi said after some thought. Yan Wudi had been thinking about it before. However, Yan Wudi couldn't find a suitable position as an official in Dezhen. He could only tell Yan Chuan his wish and let him make the decision. Oh. Yan Chuan was silent for a while. After a while, Yan Chuan spoke again, Wudi, I have a position here. It's a department that I've been thinking about for a long time. I wonder if you can do it. Please speak, Uncle Chuan. I want to set up a department of super assassins hidden under the facade of Dezhen. It will clean up everything that can't be handled openly. It will only be responsible to me. I want everyone in this department to be my strongest weapon. Everything will be done cleanly and efficiently. For the sake of Dezhen, we'll patch up all the loopholes. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said. Yan Wudi's eyes lit up. The only bad thing about this department is that it can't be exposed to the light. Yan Chuan said solemnly. I want to try. Yan Wudi said with a hint of joy. Good. Since that's the case, I'll leave it to you. I'll name it Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll be the pavilion master of Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll do things in the dark. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Yes. Invincible Territories Dugu family will do well in Heaven Mending Pavilion. Also, from today onwards, there will be no Yan Wudi in this world. Your Majesty, please call me Invincible Dugu. Yan Wudi said solemnly. Your Majesty. Invincible Dugu. When he heard Yan Wudi call himself Invincible Dugu, Yan Chuan frowned and sighed. Wudi, you don't have to be like this. Invincible Dugu shook his head. Since I've entered Great Zhen, I must understand that even I can't break the rules. Looking at the stubborn Invincible Dugu, Yan Chuan was silent for a while. In the end, he nodded. From today onwards, I confer Invincible Dugu as the Pavilion Master of Great Zhen's Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll be in charge of Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll only be responsible to me. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Boom. In the outside world, Great Zhen's Sea of Providence churned. A yellow light shot down from the roof and entered Invincible Dugu's body. Your subject, Invincible Dugu, will not disappoint your Majesty. Invincible Dugu bowed respectfully. Outside the study room, all of Great Zhen's ministers looked up at the sky. Clearly, the group that went out earlier knew who had been conferred a title. However, no one knew what position Invincible Dugu had been given. Chapter 956. Whoosh. The sky was gloomy, and heavy rain kept falling. In the evening, under the heavy rain, everything seemed unusually quiet. Outside the borders of the Great Zhen Empire, a lesser sect, the Five Elements sect. Five Elements sect, the main hall of the sect. A group of cultivators was sitting in the main hall, led by a red-robed elder. The group frowned at each other. Sect Master, Emperor Mo asked us to investigate the situation of the Great Zhen Empire, but how are we going to investigate it now? The Great Zhen Empire is getting stronger and stronger. That's right, Sect Master. The Great Zhen Empire now has an imperial examination every year. More and more experts and wise people from the East Divine Continent have entered the Great Zhen Empire. The original 1,100 cities were empty, but after a few decades, they are getting more and more abundant. Also, Yan Chuan, Feng, Huoguang, Jin Dayu, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian have disappeared for decades. They suddenly returned, and no one knows where they went. How are we going to report to Emperor Mo? The red-robed sect master's face was gloomy. That's not what I'm most worried about. I'm worried that the people we sent to infiltrate the Great Zhen Empire have suddenly disappeared. I don't know if they have been captured. If they are captured, our whereabouts might be exposed. Wang Ku might have been delayed by something. There should be news soon. Even if there is no news, Wang Ku will not betray us. In the main hall, the Five Elements sect's upper echelons were analyzing the information. The heavy rain outside fell on the stone slabs, making pattering sounds. Five Elements sect, at the foot of the mountain. At this moment, a group of uninvited guests came. A group of 50 people, all dressed in loose black robes. The rain fell on the black robes, sliding to the ground like raincoats. The 50 black-robed people's faces could not be seen clearly. The leader led the group and walked over step by step on the stone slabs. Who is it? Stop! Immediately, a Five Elements sect disciple jumped out. The leader slashed with the sword in his hand. TSK. The Five Elements sect's disciple didn't even have time to scream before he was suddenly cut in half and fell onto the stone floor. The rain washed over him, and his blood dyed the surroundings red. The black-robed leader said indifferently, "This is Butian Pavilion's first operation. The Five Elements sect, leave no one alive. Kill them all." Yes. The group of black-robed men replied. Shio. The 50 people instantly charged into the heavy rain and entered the Five Elements sect. 2 hours later, at the main peak of the Five Elements sect, at the peak of the Five Elements mountain, in the square of the Five Elements palace. Dozens of corpses fell to the ground in the plaza. All of them died with one sword strike, dyeing the plaza red. Rumble. The sky was gloomy, and within the dark clouds, there was a desolate sound of thunder. A group of black-robed men waited. After a while, in the Five Elements hall, a black-robed man in the lead walked out of the hall under the protection of 3 other black-robed men. He walked to the square where the rain was pouring down. Pavilion Master, the Five Elements sect has been annihilated. A black-robed man stepped forward and said. The leader of the black-robed men nodded and gently shook his black robe to shake off a large amount of rainwater. Then, he stepped forward. The group of black-robed men followed behind him and left the Five Elements sect in the heavy rain. The heavy rain washed away the blood on the ground. The Five Elements sect had been annihilated, and not a single person was left alive. Only the footsteps of the group of black-robed men were left. Chapter 957. Dajin Empire, Yanjing. Chaotian Palace Plaza. Yan Chuan held an invitation in his hand, followed by a group of officials. A lady in green stood in front of him. Yan Chuan, I have delivered the letter. Please head to the Archaic Arcanum sect on time. The lady in green said. I remember you. When you first met the Heavenly Lady, you were beside her. Are you her servant? Yan Chuan frowned and asked. The lady in green nodded and said, I was fortunate enough to be chosen by the Heavenly Lady. Indeed. I have received the invitation from the Archaic Arcanum sect. You may return to report. Yan Chuan nodded. The lady in green nodded and was about to leave. Wait. Yan Chuan suddenly said. The lady in green asked curiously. There is one more thing I would like to ask. If it is convenient, please tell me. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Oh. The lady in green asked curiously. The Heavenly Lady, the Holy Lady of the Archaic Arcanum sect. I would like to know what the Heavenly Lady's real name is. Yan Chuan asked seriously. After all, the Heavenly Lady and Zhenrou were too similar. The Heavenly Lady was even born after Zhenrou's death. Even if the Heavenly Lady said that she had regained her memories of her previous life and that she was not Zhenrou, Yan Chuan did not give up. The lady in green smiled and said, if it was before, I would not have said it. But it doesn't matter now. After all, you will know sooner or later. This time, the Heavenly Lady and the sect leader will host it together. Oh. The Heavenly Lady's name is Xiaoafang. And I heard that this is a name given by the heavens and not by humans. The lady in green smiled. As she spoke, the lady in green bowed politely and flew into the sky. Suddenly, she turned into a huge green wand and flew towards the north. Xiaoafang. Julu Academy. Meng Lingtian, Yue, and Meng Rongrong sent off a green wand. Ancestor, the Archaic Arcanum sect, the God creation plan. Does the Archaic Arcanum sect really have such power? Yue frowned. God creation plan? Ha! Meng Lingtian shook his head with disdain. Could it be fake? Meng Rongrong was puzzled. Meng Lingtian shook his head and said, the Archaic Mysteries sect is right to bemoan the state of the universe and pity the fate of mankind. However, the Archaic Mysteries sect is not as powerful as the invitation said. The Celestial Arcanum sect only has a small foundation in the immortal world. Later on, they obtained some inheritances from ancient experts and knew a bit about the events that happened before the Great Ancient Calamity. Tens of thousands of years ago, they moved some of their disciples into this sealed world. And now, they're even more arrogant and want to create a god. I see. Louis nodded. There's no need to care about this god-making plan. If the Archaic Mysteries sect was truly powerful, why would they need to select the talents of the world? Why couldn't he become a god? My Julu Academy's founder, Invincible East, has already established a foundation in the immortal world. My Julu Academy has its own online inheritance. Even if I participate in this God creation plan, it's useless. Meng Lingtian shook his head. Yes. The two of them nodded. Great Buddha Imperial Dynasty. Kong Mok led his ministers to look at the Tianji sect's emissary. God creation plan. Kong Mok frowned as he looked at the invitation. I have already delivered the letter. If you wish to participate, please arrive on time. The emissary said solemnly. With that, the emissary left. Kong Mok was left behind, frowning as he looked at the invitation. At this moment, a golden light flashed. A middle-aged man in a white scholarly robe landed in front of Kong Mok. The man's long hair was combed back, and he held a purple bamboo scroll in his hand. On the scroll were the words, Spring and Autumn. Although he was dressed in scholarly robes, he exuded an uncontrollable evil aura. Righteous and evil aura blended together, peaceful and violent. It looked very contradictory. Kong Daoqiu. What do you think? Kong Mok asked in a low voice. The scholarly robed man was the dean of the Confucius Lu Academy, Yan Chuan's grandfather, Kong Daoqiu. Kong Daoqiu watched the emissary leave, his eyes narrowing. Archaic Mysteries Sect. They have a foundation in the immortal world. If that's the case, let's do our best to bring them into the great Buddha Imperial Dynasty. Kong Daoqiu said lightly. Kong Mok nodded. I'll go with you then. Kong Daoqiu said solemnly. All right. Kong Mok nodded. Archaean sect's sacred ground. Meng Hongying, Ren Shu, and a man in a Taoist robe and a purple Taoist crown flew towards the north. The man with the purple Taoist crown was the leader of the three. The man looked like he was in his 50s, and he exuded a ferocious aura with every movement. He stood on a purple gourd that was as tall as a person. He stood on the purple gourd alone, and two purple lights shot out from his hands to carry Meng Hongying and Ren Shu. Even though the purple gourd was a flying weapon, the man did not want the two of them to ride it together. Grandpa, is the invitation from the Archaean sect real? Meng Hongying asked curiously. The man nodded. Since the Archaean sect is willing to pay, there's no reason not to take it. Sacred leader, didn't the invitation say it clearly? With my status, I'm not qualified at all. What's the point of me going? Ren Shu smiled bitterly. You can't go, but Hongying can. You have the ability to help Hongying. The man said in a deep voice. But, sacred leader, with my insignificant skills, how can I? Ren Shu was still trying to evade. The man turned his head, and his eyes turned cold as he shot a murderous aura at Ren Shu. Ren Shu immediately stopped talking. If I want you to go, you have to go. If I say you're useful, then you're useful. Meng Sanqing said in a deep voice. All right, I'll try my best. Ren Shu smiled bitterly. Ah. Grandpa, I'll go. You're not going. Meng Hongying asked in surprise. Meng Sanqing showed a hint of disdain. The Archaean sect's god creation. I don't care about it, but it'll be best if you can succeed. Yes. Meng Hongying nodded. Dazhao's sacred ground. Mohina Dojin looked at the invitation and narrowed his eyes. Father, god creation. Why would the Archaean sect create a god? Yang Zigu was puzzled. Mohina Dojin took a deep breath and said, Zhijiu, this time, I'll go with you and take the first place. Ah. Yes. Yang Zigu nodded blankly. Great Jin Empire, Yen capital. Yan Chuan dealt with the state affairs and gave some instructions. Finally, he bid farewell to ZZ. I'll be back as soon as possible. When I'm not around, Great Jin will depend on you. Yan Chuan said with certainty. ZZ nodded. With that, Yan Chuan led Feng Yinyang, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin into the sky. The four of them were all in the emptiness realm and flew toward the Archaean sect in the north. All the heroes of the world gathered at the Archaean sect. Chapter 958. North Divine Continent. Yan Chuan, Bai Ditian, Feng Yinyang, and Lu Jin were flying through the air. In the air. Your Majesty, aren't we a little early? Lu Jin asked after some thought. Yes, we are early because we have other things to do. Yan Chuan nodded. Oh. Feng Yinyang, you tell them. Yan Chuan looked at Feng Yinyang. Flying in the air, Feng Yinyang nodded and frowned. The North Divine Continent originally had three unique factions, the Archaic Mysteries sect, the Lushan Academy, and the Feng Shui Northern sect. We are going to the Feng Shui Northern sect. Feng Yinyang explained. Lu Jin's expression changed. I remember seeing a rough map. The Feng Shui Northern sect is close to the Lushan Academy. The Lushan Academy was annexed by the Goblin Imperial Dynasty. Your Majesty, are you worried that the Goblin Imperial Dynasty has designs on the Feng Shui Northern sect? Yan Chuan nodded. Although the Feng Shui Northern sect is strong, we have to be careful. Feng Yinyang continued, the Feng Shui Northern sect and my Feng Shui Southern sect are of the same origin. This time, we are going to see if we can merge them. Merge? With Mr.'s Feng Shui skills, he should be close to your master's. There is a high chance. Lu Jin said with a smile. Feng Yinyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. No, this time, the chances are very small. We might even be annexed by the other party. Oh. My branch was split in half a long time ago, into the north and south sections. Even though the two sects are in the north and south, the masters of the two sects are constantly thinking about annexing the other sect and making the other sect their own. Feng Yinyang said in a deep voice. Then why have there been so few battles in the past tens of thousands of years? Lu Jin asked. Because there is no point in fighting. In our lineage, only the sect leader has the true ability to control Feng Shui. The disciples of the sect are just servants. Although they know a lot about Feng Shui, compared to the sect leader, they know too little. As long as the sect leader is still around, the sect is still around. So, there is no point in fighting between the two sects. Feng Yinyang said. Oh. The sect master of the North faction is a powerful figure. When my master was still alive, he told me not to provoke him. His Feng Shui is so strong that even my master is ashamed of his inferiority. Feng Yinyang was worried. Ah. Lu Jin said in surprise. Our main goal this time is to test the Feng Shui Northern sect and wait for the right opportunity. The three of us are here to protect Feng Yinyang. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Lu Jin nodded. How should I address the Northern sect leader? Lu Jin asked. His surname is Mu, and his name is Ghostfire. Feng Yinyang said. Mu's Ghostfire? Lu Jin muttered the strange name. 20 days later. The Northern Divine Continent was a place where Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi gathered. There were countless mountain ranges stacked on top of each other. If a knowledgeable person were to see this, they would definitely be astonished. This was because every single mountain range was actually a dragon vein. With tens of thousands of dragon veins gathered, the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi here was 100 times more abundant than anywhere else. There were also countless cities in the area, and black-robed figures roamed the area. In one of the cities in the periphery, 5 black-robed figures stood on top of a city tower, looking into the distance. The southern sect has been destroyed. Junior brothers, did you find anything on your trip to the south? The leader of the black-robed figures asked with a frown. No, there is no news of Li Kanglin. From the looks of it, Li Kanglin has been killed. The Great Nightmare Heaven Dynasty also has Feng Shui masters, and we have fought with them before. However, compared to the sect leader, they are far inferior. Another black-robed figure said. Chapter 959. Feng Shui Masters. It doesn't matter if they're strong or not. What the sect leader wants to know is who obtained Li Kanglin's inheritance, the leader said. We've already identified 10 Feng Shui masters who are still alive. We've sent people to investigate. The leader was silent for a moment before he said, don't let any of them go. The sect leader values the inheritance of the southern sect. Find these people as soon as possible. Also, Yao Tianshang has taken over Lushan Academy and is currently stationed there. He's obviously planning to make a move against the northern sect. Zhu. Yao Tianshang. The most powerful person in the world 30,000 years ago. So what? The sect leader's strength is beyond their comprehension. Don't worry, eldest senior brother. Another Feng Shui master said. The leader nodded. While the group of brothers were talking, a rumbling sound came from the south. What's that sound? Eldest senior brother frowned. Rumble. The sound from the south was getting closer and closer. It was as if 10,000 horses were galloping toward the northern sect. Roar! 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 A dragon's roar came from the south, and the earth trembled. Swish! Swish! A large number of Feng Shui masters gathered in the northern sect. They stood in a huge square in the south of the northern sect and looked toward the south. Is that the sound of the dragon veins? And there's more than one. Eldest senior brother said. Roar! Finally, after a dragon's roar, the scene in the distance was revealed to the group of Feng Shui masters. It was a huge mountain range. Amid the rumbling sound, the entire mountain range seemed to have come alive and was moving toward the northern sect. 4 figures stood at one end of the mountain range. It was as if they were standing on a dragon's head. The mountain range was rolling toward them. That was not all. Behind this mountain range, there were 99 similar mountain ranges moving with a rumbling sound. Yan Chuan and his group were at the top of the mountain range. Under the control of Feng Yinyang, 100 mountain ranges swept over like a river. Wherever they passed, the earth trembled and soil flew into the sky. 100 dragon veins. A Feng Shui master's expression changed. Riding 100 dragons? What a powerful Feng Shui master! Another northern sect Feng Shui master exclaimed. They don't come with good intentions. Defend! Eldest senior brother's expression changed. About 100 Feng Shui masters lined up in a line. Suddenly, they squatted down and stretched out their right hands. A yellow aura suddenly emerged from their right hands. Everyone thrust their palms into the ground. It was inserted into the soil. Dragon, come! Eldest senior brother shouted coldly. Ong! Ong! Suddenly, a deafening dragon roar came from behind the Feng Shui masters. Rumble! The earth churned as streaks of yellow light shot out. The yellow light rushed in front of everyone and suddenly broke out of the ground, forming hundreds of yellow dragons that bared their fangs and brandished their claws. The hundreds of yellow dragons were all thousands of feet long, and all of them glared angrily at the south. A fierce and violent aura surged forward. The northern sect was similar to the southern sect in that it was a holy land for Feng Shui cultivators. It had countless dragon veins, and as long as a disciple summoned them, the dragon veins would gather and serve as a weapon for Feng Shui masters. The 100 dragons roared. Under the control of the Feng Shui masters, they angrily rushed towards the 100 mountain ranges coming from the south. Boom! The 100 mountain ranges came to a sudden stop. Ong! Chapter 960. Above the 100 mountain ranges, a yellow light emerged from each of them. They were all in the shape of a dragon's head, confronting the 100 yellow dragons opposite them. Roar! 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 The dragons roared, and no one was willing to give in. Who are you? The eldest senior brother's face darkened as he shouted. On the peak of the leading mountain, Yan Chuan, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian did not say anything. At this moment, Yan Chuan had completely handed the situation over to Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang took a step forward and said in a deep voice, Feng Yinyang of the South Sect requests to fight the Northern Sect, the ghost fire of the grave. Feng Yinyang shouted coldly. The 100 yellow dragons fell silent and no longer rampaged. South Sect? Wasn't the South Sect destroyed? A feng shui master muttered. However, the expression of the eldest senior brother changed. You are from the South Sect? The eldest senior brother asked solemnly. The disciples of the Northern Sect knew very little about the Ghost Valley, but it did not mean that they knew nothing. One person representing a sect was very common in feng shui cultivation. Go and inform the ghost fire of the grave. Feng Yinyang said in a deep voice. The feng shui masters looked at each other. Finally, they looked at the eldest senior brother. The eldest senior brother looked at Feng Yinyang with uncertain eyes. Do you think you can meet the sect master just because you want to? South Sect? You said that you represent the South Sect. What proof do you have? The eldest senior brother said with a serious expression. Feng Yinyang slowly jumped down the mountain. He walked forward step by step. How do you want to prove it? Feng Yinyang said calmly. Controlling 100 dragons does not prove that you are the sect master of the South Sect. If you want to meet the sect master of the Northern Sect, show me your ability. The eldest senior brother shouted. Feng Yinyang smiled and nodded. He looked up at the 100 yellow dragons in front of the 100 feng shui masters and smiled. He reached out and grabbed at the void. One of the dragon veins behind him suddenly shook. Then, an illusory yellow dragon broke out of its body and collided with the yellow dragon opposite it. Boom! When the two dragons collided, smoke and dust filled the air. Amidst the smog, the two dragon heads drew the endless power of the earth from the ground. As they stepped on the ground, their heads faced each other as they collided. Feng Yinyang waved his hand again. A yellow dragon rushed out from each of the 100 mountain ranges that came under the command of the Yin-Yang Imperial Messenger. Boom! 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 The dragon's head collided with the dragon's head, and the huge collision caused the surrounding fog to become even denser. Roar! The 100 yellow dragons of the Southern Sect and the 100 yellow dragons of the Northern Sect collided and roared at each other. Neither side was willing to back down. Feng Yinyang, one man against 100 feng shui masters. The essence of the earth was extracted by the 200 yellow dragons, causing the soil to deteriorate and haze to fill the sky. Eldest senior brother's expression changed. The battle immediately attracted countless disciples of the Northern Sect of Feng Shui, and a large number of Feng Shui masters rushed over from the north. At the same time, the Feng Shui masters quickly controlled the dragon veins to join the battle from all directions. Feng Yinyang, alone, wanted to fight the entire Northern Sect of Feng Shui. The grand battle of magical powers immediately caused the surrounding cultivators to reveal astonished expressions. Someone actually dared to provoke the Northern Sect of Feng Shui. Did he want to die? Not far from the Northern Sect of Feng Shui, in a large hall of the Lushan Academy, Yao Tiansheng was discussing something with a group of great demons. Reporting, Demon Emperor, there's a change in the Northern Sect of Feng Shui. A great demon rushed into the hall. Yao Tiansheng was puzzled. A Feng Shui master challenged the Northern Sect of Feng Shui, the great demon said. Oh. A Feng Shui master challenged the Northern Sect of Feng Shui. Ha, interesting. Who did he challenge? Yao Tiansheng laughed curiously. No, he didn't challenge anyone. He challenged the Northern Sect of Feng Shui. The great demon immediately corrected him. Huh. The great demons in the hall didn't understand. No, I watched from afar. That person didn't challenge anyone. He challenged the entire northern sect of Feng Shui. He challenged the entire northern sect of Feng Shui. He challenged all the Feng Shui masters of the northern sect. He defeated 10,000 Feng Shui masters by himself. The great demon explained. Yao Tianshang. All the great demons. Chapter 961. No, I saw it from afar. That person wasn't challenging anyone. He was challenging the entire Feng Shui northern sect, the entire northern sect. He was challenging all the Feng Shui masters in the northern sect. 1 against 10,000. The great demon explained. Yao Tianshang. All the great demons. The hall immediately fell into silence. Bastard! How is that possible? Yao Tianshang immediately scolded. It's true. They've really started fighting. That Feng Shui master came with 100 dragon veins. He's fighting 100 Feng Shui masters alone, but 100 Feng Shui masters are still no match for him. More and more Feng Shui masters from the northern sect are joining the battle. The great demon immediately swore. Demon Emperor, it looks like it's true. The person who came is using Feng Shui to fight Feng Shui. And from the looks of it, this person's Feng Shui skills are extremely powerful. A great demon said with a frown. The two strongest Feng Shui masters in the world, Li Kanglin and Ghostfire. We don't know if Li Kanglin is dead or alive. Who is it? Another person asked worriedly. Demon Emperor, you stayed here to reclaim the wisps, but the northern sect's Feng Shui is too powerful. Now, this Feng Shui master is provoking the northern sect. Could he have the same goal as you? A great demon frowned. Yao Tianshang's eyes narrowed as he said, let's go and take a look. Also, Bat King, gather all the tribes near you. Bats are immune to Feng Shui to a certain extent. Just in case something happens. Yes. A great demon answered immediately. Go. Taking a step forward, Yao Tianshang led a group of great Yao and flew out of the main hall, heading towards the Feng Shui northern sect. Feng Shui northern sect, south. More and more Feng Shui masters joined the fray. Arg! 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 More and more dragon veins were extracted, and they exploded out with immense Feng Shui power. Right now, 2,000 northern sect yellow dragons were fighting against Feng Yinyang. Eldest senior brother's expression was extremely ugly. 2,000 against 100. Feng Yinyang did not have many yellow dragons. The northern sect had mobilized so many dragon veins. How could they not win? If it was a few decades ago, Feng Yinyang would not have been able to do so. However, in the past 50 years, Feng Yinyang had followed Yan Chuan into the heavenly secret realm. His birth chart power had increased by more than 10,000 years. Moreover, in the celestial realm, Feng Yinyang had fought with countless Feng Shui masters. Therefore, he quickly comprehended Li Kanglin's legacy. Right now, he was closing in on Li Kanglin. Aside from the sect masters, everyone else in the two Feng Shui sacred grounds was just a servant. Master versus servant. So what if you have more people? Now that Feng Yinyang's foundation has taken shape and his cultivation has reached the upper void realm, he is not afraid of the northern sect's disciples at all. Feng Yinyang had nothing to fear in terms of Feng Shui as long as it was not the wisp himself. Continue. Gather more dragon veins for me. I want to tear his 100 dragon veins to pieces. Eldest senior brother shouted angrily. At this moment, eldest senior brother represented the northern sect. This was no longer a matter of winning or losing. It was a matter of dignity. He had to defeat Feng Yinyang no matter what. Rumble. As the earth churned, tens of thousands of dragons roared and shook the sky. The entire northern sect knew that something big had happened. The dragon veins continued to surge. 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Dragon veins gathered one after another like a surging river, wanting to completely destroy the yin-yang bestowment. Great dragon vein expansion. Feng Yin-yang shouted softly. A huge compass appeared under his feet. Chapter 962. On the compass, the 100 yellow dragons of Feng Yin and Yang that were struggling bitterly suddenly trembled. Whoosh! 1 turned into 2, 2 turned into 4, 4 turned into 8, 8 turned into 16. The 100 yellow dragons of the envoys of Yin and Yang continued to increase in number. From 100 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 5,000, and from 10,000 to 10,000. It was rapidly increasing in number. Of course, every time the number doubled, the yellow dragons became fainter. Feng Shui evolution. Are you trying to destroy these 100 dragon veins? The eldest senior brother exclaimed. Not just destroy. How can there be so many changes? This is impossible. The eldest senior brother exclaimed. Boom! Boom! More and more of the northern sect's dragon veins collided with the dragon veins that had been strengthened by the power of Yin and Yang. The essence of the earth was constantly being extracted from both sides. The further they went, the worse the earth became. Sand rose into the sky, and haze wreaked havoc. Rumble. Feng Yin-yang's ability to fight 10,000 enemies alone was not an exaggeration. In the haze, 10,000 dragons fought. They fought fiercely. But even in such an intense battle, the will-o'-the-wisp did not appear. The mountain peak that Yan Chuan, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin were standing on had been completely drained of its essence. It had turned into a pile of dust, and in the midst of the battle, it had formed a vast haze that soared into the sky. Yan Chuan, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin flew into the sky and stood in mid-air to watch the battle. But as they watched, the three of them suddenly raised their eyebrows and turned their heads. Not far from the three of them, there were 3 other figures standing there. Meng Hongying, Ren Shu, and Meng Sansheng. When Meng Hongying saw Yan Chuan, she was first happy, then a trace of worry appeared on her face. Ren Shu's eyes shone brightly as he looked at Yan Chuan with surprise and curiosity. That was because Ren Shu had seen Yan Chuan before. Yan Chuan's cultivation had risen too quickly. How many years had it been? The leader of the 3 was Meng Sansheng. At this moment, Meng Sansheng was carrying a huge purple gourd on his back. His forehead was slightly protruding, and he was wearing a purple crown and a purple robe. He stood in front of the 2 people and looked at Yan Chuan and the others with a serious expression. Meng Sansheng, the current leader of the divine sect Sacred Grounds, the Empress grandfather. Bai Ditian immediately transmitted to Yan Chuan. Meng Sansheng. Yan Chuan raised his eyebrows. Yan Chuan naturally wouldn't underestimate the lord of a holy land. Meng Sansheng glanced at the 10,000 dragon battle before turning to look at Yan Chuan's group. Grandpa, this is ZZ's husband, Yan Chuan of the Great Jin Empire. Meng Hongying explained. Meng Sansheng looked at Yan Chuan. Greetings, divine sect holy master. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Although he didn't have a good impression of the divine sect Sacred Grounds, he was still ZZ's grandfather. Yan Chuan still gave him enough respect. Meng Sansheng looked at Yan Chuan and smiled faintly before ignoring him. It was as if he didn't care about Yan Chuan at all. That look of disdain immediately made Lu Jin's expression change. Yan Chuan waved his hand and stopped Lu Jin's anger. Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Since others didn't care about him, why should he respect them? Moreover, ZZ didn't have any feelings for her grandfather. Then, Yan Chuan looked at Ren Shu and Meng Hongying. Ren Shu's eyes rolled around, thinking of something. As for Meng Hongying, she gave Yan Chuan an apologetic look. Faced with Meng Hongying's apologetic expression, Yan Chuan smiled slightly, indicating that it was fine. Meng Sansheng didn't care about Yan Chuan and looked at Bai Ditian. Bai Ditian, it's been 8,000 years. We meet again. Meng Sansheng said faintly. Bai Ditian frowned at Meng Sansheng and nodded. I heard that you've submitted to him. Meng Sansheng smiled. Bai Ditian frowned and said, Meng Sansheng, if you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. It's been 8,000 years. You just reincarnated, right? Do you remember that you issued a challenge to our divine sect Sacred Grounds 8,000 years ago? Meng Sansheng said faintly. Bai Ditian frowned and said, that's in the past. You didn't come to challenge me, but you ascended with your wife. When your wife ascended, you didn't succeed in your tribulation and reincarnated. You may have forgotten, but I haven't. That challenge letter is still on my table. I know that you've lost 8,000 years of cultivation, but the challenge letter is a challenge. I won't bully you. If you can take one of my punches, I'll let bygones be bygones. Meng Sansheng said in a low voice. Bai Ditian, he seems to be testing you. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Bai Ditian nodded solemnly. Meng Sansheng looked at Yan Chuan suspiciously when he saw Bai Ditian agree with Yan Chuan. However, he quickly looked at Bai Ditian and said, don't worry. It's just a punch. I won't use my treasure. Bai Ditian looked at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan nodded lightly. Meng Sansheng wanted to test Bai Ditian, but Yan Chuan also wanted to see Meng Sansheng's strength. Bai Ditian stepped forward. In the distance, Meng Hongying and Ren Shu also retreated. Lu Jin, do you know why Bai Ditian challenged Meng Sansheng back then? Yan Chuan asked in a low voice. Lu Jin shook her head. There's very little information about 8,000 years ago. Bai Ditian was extremely calm and rarely did such a thing. There must be a very important grudge back then. We have to ask Bai Ditian to find out. Yan Chuan nodded and looked at the sky. The corners of Meng Sansheng's mouth curled up into a smile as he punched out. A huge purple fist aura condensed in the sky. Once the fist aura was released, it created a huge storm. This fist aura seemed to have passed through the storm. Bai Ditian's eyes narrowed as he punched out with his fist. When one's strength reached their level, any fancy Dharma techniques would seem insignificant. The white fist aura and the purple fist aura collided. Boom! When the two fists collided, a sharp aura shot out. Once the aura was released, the surrounding storm was destroyed. Boom! Under the huge aura of the fist aura, the endless fog was instantly washed away. The battle between the two upper void realm experts instantly released a huge amount of ferocious energy. Under the powerful aura, many feng shui masters on the ground were swept away. They all hid behind the yellow dragon in horror to resist the aftershock. The 10,000 dragon battle suddenly stopped. And where Yan Chuan was, there was also a strong wind blowing against Yan Chuan and Lu Jin. At this moment, even if the aftershock was strong, Yan Chuan didn't move. Instead, he stared at Meng Sansheng. At this moment, Meng Sansheng's pupils constricted and turned purple. His purple pupils emitted a faint light as he stared at the two fist auras. No, I technique. Divine power. Meng Sansheng is not only testing Bai Ditian. What is he trying to do? Yan Chuan's face darkened. What kind of eye technique is this? Yan Chuan frowned as he stared. Chapter 963. What kind of eye technique is this? Yan Chuan frowned as he stared at it. In the sky, Bai Ditian's expression became even more savage. Meng Sansheng's expression suddenly changed. This was because the power of Bai Ditian's punch was not what he had imagined. Hadn't Bai Ditian not cultivated for 8,000 years? How could it be stronger than 8,000 years ago? Meng Sansheng's fist strength also rose sharply. Under the collision of power, the two powerhouses realized how powerful the other was, and their power increased sharply. Rumble. The air around them exploded, and the shock waves spread further and further. In the forests around the northern sect, countless creatures were curled up on the ground, not daring to get up. Bai Ditian. You're actually not at the 9th level of the upper void stage. I really underestimated you. Meng Sanxing said coldly. Meng Sanxing's fist power increased, but his pupils were still purple. Eye technique? Yan Chuan stared at Meng Sanxing's pupils. Meng Sanxing's pupils were slowly rotating. An unfathomable power flashed in his eyes. What kind of eye technique is this? What threat is there to Bai Ditian? Yan Chuan frowned and pondered. Not far away, Meng Hongying retreated again and again, but Ninth Rat's eyes were wide open. This is eye technique? Isn't this the legendary eye of reincarnation? Ren Rat quickly retreated in horror. As it retreated, Ninth Rat stared at the distant Bai Ditian. Ren Rat said in shock, yes, I understand now. Bai Ditian is a reincarnated person, and he reincarnated with his memories. There must be some remnant samsara law in his life. Sacred Lord, are you trying to replicate all of the samsara law? At this moment, Ninth Rat looked at Meng Sansheng with fear in its eyes. At this moment, Yao Tianshang was leading a group of great demons from the forest far away. Yao Tianshang raised his eyebrows as he watched the two experts fight from afar. Bai Ditian? Is that Meng Sansheng? A great demon immediately recognized him. Both of them are at least at the 10th level of the upper void stage. Furthermore, he didn't even use his full strength. Yao Tianshang said with a serious expression. Ah! The group of great demons exclaimed in shock. Upper void stage. Although there were still many upper void stage cultivators in the world, everyone knew that the upper void stage was harder to cultivate as one progressed. Especially from the 9th layer onwards, there were countless difficulties and obstacles. There were even people who were stuck at the 9th layer for their entire lives. But all of them were at least at the 10th level. Rumble. Behind Yao Tianshang, there was a huge commotion in the sky. At the same time, the sky suddenly turned dark, covering the sun. Countless bats flapped their wings and flew over. Whoosh! The infinity bats brought with them gusts of wind. Swish! A black-robed man landed beside Yao Tianshang. Demon Emperor, the experts of my bat clan are all here. There are 36 million of them. The black-robed man laughed. All right. Bat King, tell them not to act rashly. Yao Tianshang shook his head. Bat King nodded. In the distance, Bai Ditian and Meng Sansheng were locked in a fist fight. Neither of them could do anything to the other. 30 minutes later, Meng Sansheng's eyes returned to normal. It was obvious that he had completely grasped Bai Ditian's reincarnation law. Boom! With a loud bang, their fists were separated by a huge force. Billowing winds swept up in the surroundings. Bai Ditian and Meng Sansheng looked at each other as if there was no victor. Alright, that's it. Bai Ditian, you really surprised me. Meng Sansheng smiled faintly. Chapter 964. Bai Ditian narrowed his eyes as he stared at Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng, what are you doing here? Bai Ditian shouted. What I do is none of your business. Remember, it's best if you don't interfere. Meng Sansheng said in a deep voice. This tone made Bai Ditian squint his eyes in displeasure. Bai Ditian. Yan Chuan shouted. Bai Ditian looked at Yan Chuan and walked over. Let's take a look first. Yan Chuan smiled. N. Bai Ditian nodded. Meng Sansheng no longer paid any attention to Yan Chuan and the other two. He scanned the surroundings again, and when he saw the bats and Yao Tianshang in the distance, a trace of disdain flashed across his eyes. Grave Willow, the Wisp, I'm here. Why aren't you coming out? Meng Sansheng shouted. With a clear shout, his voice immediately rolled out like thunder. However, the Grave Willow, the Wisp, did not appear. Meng Sansheng narrowed his eyes, and a vicious look appeared in his eyes. Grave Willow, the Wisp, I'm here again. Why aren't you coming out? If you don't come out, I'll raze your northern sect to the ground. Meng Sansheng shouted again. Raze the northern sect to the ground? What arrogance! Both Yan Chuan and Yao Tiansheng frowned as they looked at Meng Sansheng. How dare you! This is my Feng Shui northern sect. How dare you, the first senior brother shouted. Roar! A yellow dragon soared into the sky, carrying a ferocious aura as it clawed at Meng Sansheng. When the first senior brother attacked, about 100 Feng Shui masters controlled the yellow dragon to charge at Meng Sansheng as if they wanted to tear him apart. Meng Sansheng smiled disdainfully as the huge gourd on his back flew into the sky. Treasure, please accept. Meng Sansheng said to the gourd solemnly. Shaochen shouted, and a strong suction force suddenly came out of the purple gourd's mouth. The suction force headed straight for the yellow dragon. Roar! The yellow dragon struggled as it was sucked towards the gourd. Whoosh! When it reached the edge of the gourd, it seemed to be sucked in by a suction force and was sucked into the gourd. 1, 10, 100 yellow dragons rushed towards the gourd. In the blink of an eye, all of the yellow dragons were sucked into the gourd. Meng Sansheng's mouth twitched as if he wasn't satisfied. The mouth of the gourd was facing the nearly 10,000 yellow dragons below. Ong! Ong! The 10,000 dragons cried out as if they were struggling against this suction force. However, under this suction force, they were unable to struggle at all. Even the yellow dragon that Feng Yinyang had summoned was being sucked away crazily. Feng Yinyang reached out to suppress it, but he couldn't suppress it at all. These dragon veins were being pulled towards the purple gourd uncontrollably. More and more. Impossible. Evil Taoist, stop! A Feng Shui master shouted angrily. Humph! Meng Sansheng snorted. The huge purple gourd pulled the cursing Feng Shui master towards it. In the blink of an eye, the 100 Feng Shui masters who had attacked Meng Sansheng were all sucked towards the purple gourd. Without exception, all of them were sucked towards the purple gourd. Ah! The Feng Shui masters screamed. However, they couldn't stop it at all. Rumble! The huge purple gourd sucked in the dragon veins crazily. In the blink of an eye, the 10,000 yellow dragons formed by the dragon veins were sucked into the gourd. It even recruited 100 Feng Shui masters. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. What kind of Dharma treasure is this? Yan Chuan asked in surprise. The primordial gourd. I've seen it 8,000 years ago, but it wasn't this powerful. Bai Ditian exclaimed. Chapter 965. Primordial Gourd. Yan Chuan frowned. At this moment, Meng Sansheng seemed to be unsatisfied. He pointed the mouth of the gourd at the countless bats behind Yao Tiansheng. Rumble. The bats were sucked into the gourd, and the huge suction force couldn't stop them at all. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The bats flapped their wings in fear. Stop! Bat King shouted angrily. He opened his mouth and spat out a white light wave towards Meng Sansheng. Whoosh! The white light wave was sucked into the primordial gourd. While it was sucking in the bats, it suddenly had a suction force on Bat King. Rumble! A huge force pulled on Bat King. Ah, ah, ah! Bat King screamed in fear. Pa! Yao Tiansheng grabbed Bat King's leg and pulled him back slowly. With Yao Tiansheng's strength, Bat King was able to avoid being sucked in by the purple gourd. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The bats flapped their wings in fear, but they were still sucked into the gourd. Empty. After all the bats entered the purple gourd, the suction force of the purple gourd stopped. Primordial gourd. Countless cultivators in all directions were shocked. Hundreds of feng shui masters, tens of thousands of dragon veins, and tens of millions of bat demons were sucked into the primordial gourd. Give me back my child. Bat King screamed in fear. If not for Yao Tianshang's strength, Bat King would have been sucked in as well. How could this gourd be so powerful? Meng Sansheng looked at Bat King coldly. Then, he looked at Yao Tianshang. Humph. Meng Sansheng snorted. Yao Tianshang's eyes turned cold, but he didn't seek justice for these bats. Meng Sansheng's strength had exceeded Yao Tianshang's expectations. The primordial gourd could only be absorbed by those in the upper void realm. It seemed that anyone below the upper void realm, be it pure energy, demonic beasts, or humans, could absorb it. But what about after it was absorbed? It sucked in and trapped. Lu Jin asked in surprise. No. Bai Ditian shook his head. It's not trapped. Then what is it? Lu Jin asked in surprise. Refine it. Bai Ditian took a deep breath. In the distance, Meng Sansheng closed the lid of the purple gourd and gently shook it. After shaking it 3 times, he took off the gourd lid again. The mouth of the gourd was facing Meng Sansheng. A strand of purple qi came out of the gourd and was sucked into Meng Sansheng's nose. The purple qi was refined. Lu Jin asked in surprise. That's right. That purple gas is the primordial violet qi that was refined from everything that was sucked into the gourd. Bai Ditian explained. Primordial gourd, primordial violet qi. Yan Chuan was finally moved. How could there be such a treasure in this world? Absorbing all things in the world and returning them to their origin to become primordial violet qi. Yao Tianshang exclaimed in shock from afar. Primordial violet qi has the ability to create. It's the source of heaven and earth's origin energy, and it can create all things in the world. The nearby 9th rat exclaimed in surprise. The primordial gourd has never been this strong in the past. Could it be that this primordial gourd is also a growth-type Dharma treasure? Bai Ditian took a deep breath. With this Dharma treasure, no one dared to underestimate Meng Sansheng anymore. Meng Sansheng had also shown that he had the ability to be arrogant. Meng Sansheng looked at Yao Tianshang from afar. He refined 30 million bat demons. Is he warning me not to interfere in what's going to happen next? Yao Tianshang said with a dark expression. Meng Sansheng did not look at the crowd anymore. Instead, he turned to the feng shui northern sect. Meng Sansheng believed that with his warning, no one would dare to stop him. Chapter 966. Grave Ghostfire, come out. Meng Sansheng shouted again. His voice pierced through the void. The entire northern sect was filled with Meng Sansheng's cold voice. There were many cities in the surroundings. Immediately, countless cultivators flew out of the cities in shock and quickly flew over. Yan Chuan restrained Feng Yinyang, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin. Yao Tianshang restrained his subordinates. They frowned as they looked at Meng Sansheng. They did not know why Meng Sansheng was here. None of the feng shui masters stepped forward to fight Meng Sansheng. The primordial gourd was too powerful. Feng Yinyang could fight 10,000 people by himself, but Meng Sansheng could kill 10,000 people by himself. He was even more terrifying than Feng Yinyang. Meng Sansheng led Meng Hongying and Ren Shu to the center of the sect. There was a huge mountain at the center of the northern sect. However, this mountain was different from the other mountains. It was as bare as a grave. It looked extremely desolate from afar. Meng Sansheng's powerful aura pressed down. In the distance, at the center of the mountain, a crack slowly appeared. A figure slowly walked out from the crack. It was a gray-robed old man with silver hair. His eyes were cloudy, and his face was covered in wrinkles. He did not seem powerful at all. He looked more like an ordinary old man. Meng Sansheng narrowed his eyes and withdrew his aura. Meng Sansheng stared at the gray-robed old man. The old man walked to a balcony that appeared in front of him. The old man stood quietly on the balcony. Countless feng shui masters were shocked. Sect master. How? How is this possible? One of the feng shui masters exclaimed. Your grave ghostfire. How did you become so old? Meng Sansheng was shocked. The old man was the Northern Sect's sect master, Grave Ghostfire. He stood quietly on the balcony and looked around. His gaze swept past the experts, and suddenly, he saw Feng Yinyang. A glimmer of light flashed across the ghostly fire's turbid eyes. He seemed to have guessed something. In the end, Grave Ghostfire looked at Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng. It's been so many years since we last met. Why have you come to my northern sect? The Ghostfire asked in a hoarse voice. Meng Sansheng frowned, but he still said in a deep voice, I want to borrow something from you. The grave willow, the wisp, was silent for a moment before saying, Don't tell me you want to borrow my head. Ha ha ha, my head. Maybe, I want the reincarnation pool. Meng Sansheng laughed. Reincarnation pool. Feng Yinyang's expression changed. What's wrong? Yan Chuan asked. Reincarnation pool. Your Majesty, this reincarnation pool is an important treasure of my Ghost Valley. You need to comprehend my Ghost Valley to a certain degree before you can refine it. My Southern Sect's sect masters, including my master, have never been able to refine it. This ghost flame is actually so powerful. Feng Yinyang said with a grave expression. Feng Yinyang exclaimed in surprise, while the ghostfire in the distant grave frowned. He turned his head and looked at the feng shui masters around him. Reincarnation pool. In order to refine the reincarnation pool, I reversed my lifespan and became what I am today. Only 5 people know about this, but I didn't expect you to plant a spy among them. Ha! You're really fast. The Ghostfire's eyes turned cold. Grave Ghostfire waved his hand. Bang! Bang! 2 of the feng shui masters suddenly exploded, and their souls appeared in the Ghostfire's palm. And it wasn't just the 2 of them. 3 other souls shot over from all directions, which were instantly compressed into the palm of the graveyard ghost flame. Chapter 967. Sect Master, please spare my life. Sect Master, I am innocent. Holy Lord, save me, save me. The 5 souls screamed in fear. Ka 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 ka. The 5 souls were crushed into a wisp of green smoke in the hand of the grave's willow, the wisp. Their souls were all destroyed. The grave ghost flame looked at Meng Sansheng again. Meng Sansheng, I know that you are cultivating the power of reincarnation and are searching for the rules of reincarnation. Everything in the world has reincarnation. You can search for it, but don't try to take me away. Although my reincarnation pool is called reincarnation, it is not the reincarnation of this world. It is useless to you. The grave ghost flame said. Useless? How do you know it is useless? The reincarnation pool is mine. I rarely leave the divine world, and this is a rare opportunity for me to come to the north. The reincarnation pool is mine. Meng Sansheng shouted. Humph. The grave ghost flame snorted. If you want to see the reincarnation pool, go ahead. The grave ghost flame said coldly. As he spoke, the huge mound beneath the grave willow, the wisp's feet slowly disappeared. The ground below suddenly turned into a quiet pool of water. The grave willow, the wisp, slowly stood on top of the pool. Reincarnation pool. Feng Yinyang's face darkened. What's the use of the reincarnation pool? Yan Chuan asked curiously. Feng Yinyang smiled bitterly and said, Your Majesty, there are many treasures in the world. The reincarnation pool of the Phantom Valley is a strange treasure. According to the Phantom Valley's inheritance, once I refine the reincarnation pool, I can capture the reincarnation spirit from the reincarnation for my use. What? Forcefully capture the reincarnation spirit from the reincarnation pool? Bai Ditian was shocked. Meng Sansheng looked at the huge reincarnation pool from afar, and a look of satisfaction flashed across his eyes. His pupils shrank and turned purple as he stared at the reincarnation pool. On the other hand, Ren Rat was terrified. Holy Lady, let's go. Ren Rat shouted. What's wrong? I can sense that there's a terrifying power in the pool. Quick! Ren Rat shouted. Meng Hongying saw Ren Rat's expression and knew that it was dangerous. She quickly retreated and left Meng Sansheng. Buzz! A light ripple suddenly appeared in the reincarnation pool that was as calm as a mirror. Then, the ripple became bigger and bigger. Slowly, a cultivator in blue Taoist robes emerged from the reincarnation pool. The cultivator in blue Taoist robes had his eyes closed and looked illusory. However, it seemed to only be a soul. Only when it completely floated out of the reincarnation pool did it suddenly open its eyes. Boom! The Taoist-robed cultivator released his aura, and a powerful storm erupted. Immortal? Meng Sansheng's face sank. The soul of an immortal. In the distance, Yao Tianshan's expression changed. Yan Chuan, Bai Ditian, and company also looked at the scene in shock. Immortal? A ghost immortal preparing to reincarnate? The inheritance is indeed right. The cycle pool is an incredible treasure. Feng Yin-yang exclaimed in shock. Who is it? Who dares to disturb my reincarnation? The ghost immortal's face immediately revealed a furious expression. It's him, Meng Sansheng. The ghost fire pointed at Meng Sansheng. At this moment, the ghost immortal's consciousness seemed to be muddled, and he was only slightly clear-headed. Bastard! The ghost immortal roared angrily at Meng Sansheng. Go, tear him apart. The ghost fire called out softly. Boom! The ghost immortal charged into the sky and attacked Meng Sansheng. The moment the immortal appeared, the surrounding heaven-earth essence chi seemed to boil. He reached out his hand and attacked Meng Sansheng with an immortal technique. Chapter 968. As soon as the immortal appeared, the heaven and earth essence chi in the surroundings surged. He stretched out his hand and shot an immortal technique at Meng Sansheng. Above the void, a 10,000-foot tall mountain appeared out of thin air. It fell from the sky and pressed down on Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng's face darkened. He stretched out his hand and hit the sky. Boom! The vast purple fist energy blocked the 10,000-foot tall mountain. Roar! The ghost immortal roared and appeared at the peak of the mountain. He stepped on the mountain and exerted force with his feet. Boom! The mountain suddenly sank. Even with Meng Sansheng's strength, he was pressed into the ground from the sky. In the blink of an eye, he was pressed into the ground. When his feet touched the ground, Meng Sansheng was able to borrow strength. His feet trembled, and a wave of energy spread across the ground. It is indeed an immortal. Yan Chuan's eyes narrowed. Meng Sansheng was unable to resist. What level is this ghost immortal? Bai Ditian asked in surprise. Human immortal, the lowest level of immortal. I have killed one in my previous life. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Killed an immortal. Feng Yin-yang, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin looked at Yan Chuan in surprise. Was Yan Chuan that strong in his previous life? Yan Chuan continued to explain, of course, killing a human immortal is not easy. I cannot kill one now. However, once Dezhen becomes a heavenly empire, I will not only be able to use the power of providence, but I will also be able to use the power of the nation and the power of the people. Once the heavenly empire is formed, I will be able to use the power of the people. It will not be difficult to kill a human immortal with the power of the nation. The three of them nodded. They did not understand. Your Majesty. Feng Yinyang suddenly narrowed his eyes. What is it? Yan Chuan asked curiously. Look at the willow, the wisp in the grave, isn't it older than before? Feng Yinyang's expression changed. Everyone looked at the ghost flame. Indeed, there were more wrinkles on the ghost flame's body. He even looked thinner. It was as if a gentle breeze could blow it over. Indeed. Yan Chuan nodded. Taking a deep breath, Feng Yinyang's eyes lit up. The ghost fire in the grave sacrificed its lifespan in order to create the reincarnation pool. It must have consumed a lot to capture this ghost immortal from the reincarnation pool. Is it possible? Yan Chuan's expression changed. Feng Yinyang nodded and said, that's right. Perhaps there is a way. Your Majesty, this time we might be able to completely merge the Ghost Valley's branch. Yan Chuan nodded. The four of them stood in the distance, ready to cooperate with Feng Yinyang. At the peak of another mountain, Yao Tiansheng and the group of great demons stared into the distance. Yao Tiansheng narrowed his eyes. Yao Emperor, that's an immortal. A great Yao said worriedly. The demon emperor said in a low voice, immortal. So what? In my previous life, I once killed a human immortal. Although that human immortal was suppressed by this world, I still killed him. What I care about is the Hongmeng gourd. Hongmeng gourd. The great demons were surprised. Yao Emperor, what about the reincarnation pool? Another great demon asked. Ha, reincarnation pool. Don't you see that the ghost fire in the grave is getting older? From the name, you can guess that it is a treasure that connects to the reincarnation pool. In other words, it is just a reincarnation entrance opened by a feng shui master. That reincarnation entrance is useless to us now because there is no powerful feng shui master who can control it. Even if there is a feng shui master, doesn't the ghost fire's current condition mean that the reincarnation pool is a disaster? Yao Tiansheng said calmly. Chapter 969. The Monster Emperor is Wise. The great monsters were impressed. Remember, if you have the chance, follow me to get the primordial gourd. Yao Tiansheng shouted. Yes. The great monsters replied. Ren Rat and Meng Hongying retreated to the side. An immortal? Oh no, that's an immortal. The sacred master is in trouble. Ren Rat said timidly. No, Grandpa will be fine. Meng Hongying said worriedly. Countless feng shui masters gathered from all directions and watched this scene with excitement. The sect master could even summon an immortal. He was too powerful. In the distance, Meng Sansheng, who was being crushed by the giant mountain, was having a hard time. You dare to disturb my reincarnation? Damn it! The immortal stomped his foot again. Boom! The giant mountain sank again. Meng Sansheng was about to be crushed. Roar! Meng Sansheng roared at the foot of the mountain. For a moment, purple light shone from the foot of the mountain. Bang! Boundless purple light instantly dyed the world purple. Countless cultivators in the surroundings revealed astonished expressions. They saw the giant mountain slowly rising. Meng Sansheng was lifting it up bit by bit. The surrounding cultivators all looked at this scene in shock. How was this possible? An immortal's attack? Although they were far away, everyone felt that it was unstoppable. Meng Sansheng blocked it. The purple light shrouded Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng's power could be vaguely seen inside the purple light. The purple Daoist crown slipped down, and Meng Sansheng's long hair fluttered. The primordial gourd left Meng Sansheng's body, and his back suddenly bulged. Boom! The bulge on Meng Sansheng's back suddenly exploded. In an instant, it turned into a pair of giant wings. The endless purple light was instantly sucked back into the wings. Buzz! When the purple light disappeared, people could finally see a pair of purple wings. It was exceptionally dazzling. Meng Sanxing's surroundings became blurry. Apparently, the air around him was trembling. A pair of purple wings appeared. Meng Sanxing's pressure was lifted. He held the giant mountain with a ferocious expression. The reincarnation pool. I'm taking it. Ha ha ha. Meng Sanxing suddenly laughed. His hand smashed towards the huge mountain. Boom. Meng Sanxing arrived in front of Ghost Immortal in an instant. You're courting death. Ghost Immortal roared. You're the one courting death. Meng Sanxing sneered. A man and an immortal clashed their palms together. Hong. Ghost Immortal's blue light and Meng Sanxing's purple light exploded with a dazzling brilliance. Heaven and earth lost their color in the face of these two colors. Under the dazzling light, the surrounding cultivators could not see what was going on. A ghost immortal who has lost his physical body wants to compete with me? Meng Sanxing roared in the light. Ah! Ghost Immortal's miserable shriek came from within the ball of light. Boom! The light suddenly dispersed, revealing a scene that shocked countless shouja. Meng Sanxing had torn off the arms of that extremely powerful Ghost Immortal. He was incomparably weak from the pain. These weren't the arms of a physical body, but the body of a soul. Immortals had their arms twisted off by mortals. Was Meng Sanxing, who was flapping his wings, immortal? It was as if the immortal no longer had the strength to fight. Treasure, please take it. Meng Sanxing shouted again. Rumble. The primordial gourd madly sucked at Ghost Immortal again. Chapter 970. Ah, bastard! Ghost Immortal screamed in horror. But his arms were instantly sucked into the gourd. Roar! The weak Ghost Immortal fled in horror. But the suction force of the Hong Meng gourd was too strong. Ghost Immortal struggled to escape, but he couldn't escape from the Hong Meng gourd. Take! 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 Ah! Finally, Ghost Immortal couldn't hold on any longer. He screamed and was forcibly sucked into the Hong Meng gourd. Bang! Meng Sanxing closed the Hong Meng gourd. Countless cultivators in the surroundings were at a loss. At this moment, even though there were millions of cultivators around, they were still silent. Immortal? That's an immortal. Was he sucked into the Hong Meng gourd? In the distance, Yao Tianshang looked at the Hong Meng gourd with more enthusiasm. This was a fanaticism. Immortal? Even an immortal could be sucked in. Could it be that after injuring the opponent and making them unable to resist, it could be taken at will? Meng Sanxing grabbed the Hong Meng gourd and shook it gently as if he was refining Ghost Immortal. Not far away, Ninth Rat's eyes were wide open. He looked at Meng Sanxing's current state with a blank expression. Wings on his back. Refining an immortal. How strong is Meng Sanxing? 3 times, still 3 times. Meng Sanxing gently opened the gourd. Suddenly, more Hong Meng purple qi than before appeared and was sucked into Meng Sanxing's stomach. Was the immortal already refined? Countless cultivators in all directions were horrified. Meng Sanxing was too terrifying. Feng Yinyang was slightly worried, but Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. Because Yan Chuan was more farsighted. The stronger Meng Sanxing was, the more desperate Grave Ghost Flame would be. It would lay a stronger foundation for Feng Yinyang to obtain the other half of Ghost Valley's inheritance. In the distance, Meng Sanxing stood high in the sky again, looking down with a pair of giant purple wings. Grave Ghost Flame, give me the reincarnation pool. Meng Sanxing said coldly. At this moment, Meng Sanxing was the only one in the whole place. It seemed that no one could stop him. Below, above the reincarnation pool. The ghost flame shook his head. Meng Sanxing, you should know that in order to refine the reincarnation pool, I reversed the flow of my lifespan. My lifespan and the reincarnation pool are one. Giving you the reincarnation pool is the same as giving you my life. Do you think it's possible? I'm already here today. Even if you're an immortal, I'll still refine it. The grand mist violet chi refined by an immortal will allow me to reach my peak state. You can't stop me. Meng Sansheng shouted. At this moment, the ghost fire in the grave suddenly aged once more. Its originally silver-white hair had now turned white. A large amount of hair fell out, and his body became thinner. More and more wrinkles appeared, and even a few of his teeth suddenly fell out. The grave ghost flame said in a hoarse voice, "Human immortal, you can stop it. Let's see how a Xian immortal can stop it." Rumble. The entire reincarnation pool was like boiling water. In an instant, there was an uproar. It had to be known that when the ghost immortal appeared, it was merely a ripple. Now, the entire pool was boiling. A towering aura was emitted from the reincarnation pool. As soon as the powerful aura was released, countless cultivators in the surroundings were suppressed to the point that they curled up on the ground. Just this suppression alone was enough to make countless cultivators unable to bear it. A pair of huge black dragon horns slowly emerged from the reincarnation pool. As soon as the dragon horns appeared, the surroundings were immediately filled with black chi. The dragon horns continued to rise, and gradually, a huge dragon head slowly emerged from the reincarnation pool. Chapter 971. The surrounding void trembled violently. Once the berserk aura of a Xian immortal was released, it immediately forced countless practitioners to fall to the ground. The powerful pressure made countless practitioners unable to breathe for a moment. Immortal? Is this the power of an immortal? Countless cultivators roared in their hearts. Facing this aura, many Shouja suddenly felt that they were like ants. A huge black dragon head slowly rushed out of the reincarnation pool. This time, it was different from before. It had a physical body. However, this was a blind dragon. Roar! The blind dragon roared and waved its tail. Its body drilled out of the reincarnation pool. Boom! Coiling in the air, a domineering aura spread out. Who is it? The blind dragon roared. It's him. Meng Sansheng, tear him to pieces. The ghost flame in the grave yelled weakly. Roar! The blind dragon charged at Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng's face darkened. He struck out with his palm, and a huge palm print appeared in the air. Boom! The blind dragon angrily roared and slammed into Meng Sansheng. It soared into the sky with a loud bang. Bastard! Meng Sansheng's face changed. This was the first time Meng Sansheng lost his composure. Meng Sansheng still had some strength when facing a human immortal, but now, it was a profound immortal with a physical body. Meng Sansheng was forced to retreat. This is a corpse dragon. Feng Yinyang's face darkened. Corpse dragon. Lu Jin didn't understand. There are volcanoes in the world of the living, and springs in the world of the underworld. They are filled with extreme yin and death chi. If a cultivator's physical body falls in, it will quickly freeze into powder. However, there are exceptions. They can absorb the power of the springs and come back to life. However, when they come back to life, they will be in the form of a zombie. Moreover, all of them are king zombies. Feng Yinyang explained. King zombies? You're saying that this corpse dragon died a long time ago and was revived by the springs? Lu Jin was shocked. Yan Chuan didn't care about the corpse dragon. Instead, he stared at the reincarnation pool in the distance. Feng Yinyang, get ready. Yan Chuan shouted. Feng Yinyang's expression changed as he nodded. Ong! Ong! The corpse dragon soared into the sky and its explosive power smashed into Meng Sansheng. The huge collision caused the surrounding space to explode and a storm to rise. The earth trembled as the two collided. Countless feng shui masters looked up at the sky in admiration. That was a Xian immortal. It was summoned by the sect leader. It was an existence that could only be achieved after transcending the tribulation at the 10th level of the upper void stage. But now, he was working for the sect leader. Yao Tiansheng glanced at the ghost fire in the distance and immediately confirmed his thoughts. Returning to the pool would consume a lot of his lifespan. Even if he took it, it wouldn't be of much use. However, the Hongmeng gourd was different. Demon Emperor, what do we do now? A great demon asked with a hint of joy. Meng Sansheng has finally met his match. Ha, let's wait. Yao Tiansheng's eyes glowed. But Ren Rat and Meng Hongying kept retreating. Xian Immortal. How can the ghost fire summon such an existence? Ren Rat said in fear. The surface of the reincarnation pool slowly calmed down. To the ghost fire, summoning the Xian Immortal and giving it a command was enough. Whoosh! All of a sudden, 4 figures shot over. In an instant, 4 figures appeared in front of the reincarnation pool. Feng Yinyang, Yan Chuan, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian all looked at the ghost fire with a serious expression. The ghost fire narrowed its eyes and stared at Feng Yinyang. Chapter 972. Li Kanglin passed it to you? The grave asked in a hoarse voice. Sect Master Nan, Feng Yinyang, greets the Northern Sect Master. Feng Yinyang took a deep breath and said. I met Li Kanglin 100 years ago. I didn't expect him to pass it to you in just 100 years. I saw how you controlled the 100 dragons. It's incredible that you can develop the Ghost Valley to this extent in just 100 years, the grave said in a low voice. Feng Yinyang didn't want to take advantage of others. I believe that one day, I will be able to take back the Northern Sect's inheritance and unite the Ghost Valley. However, the world has changed, and the immortals are no longer restricted. In fact, immortals from the immortal world will enter this world one after another. At that time, if the Ghost Valley's enemies come, we won't be able to unite the Ghost Valley. If we lose one, our lineage will be broken. We can only offend them this time. Feng Yinyang took a deep breath and said. The grave smiled at Feng Yinyang. If you want it, come. The grave smiled. As the grave spoke, it slowly sank into the reincarnation pool. Feng Yinyang's face darkened. Your Majesty, follow me. Feng Yinyang shouted. Okay. The 4 of them immediately flew to the reincarnation pool and jumped in together. Plop. As if they had fallen into water, they sank into the pool. Yan Chuan's actions also attracted the attention of the surrounding experts. Yao Tiansheng narrowed his eyes. Demon Emperor, Yan Chuan and Bai Ditian are chasing after the grave, a great demon said worriedly. Yao Tiansheng sneered and said, that's for the best. They won't disturb us. Yao Tiansheng didn't care. However, the feng shui masters didn't think so. Oh no, it's Feng Yinyang from the South Sect. They are chasing after the sect master. The South Sect wants to snatch the sect master's inheritance. Quick, protect the sect master. Jiaohu came from all directions. A large number of feng shui masters quickly gathered and jumped into the reincarnation pool. Once they entered the reincarnation pool, Yan Chuan and the others felt as if they were in the depths of the universe. Not far away was a huge blue hole. Inside the hole, circles of blue light were spinning crazily. Within the blue light, there seemed to be different figures appearing and disappearing from time to time. The grave stood in front of the whole lord and looked at the 4 of them. Your Majesty, that's the reincarnation passage. Don't go in there. The pressure of the reincarnation passage can turn even a human immortal into dust. Feng Yinyang said. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded. The grave willow, the wisp looked at Feng Yinyang and said, you want my inheritance? I'll give you a chance. The Ghost Valley Spirit Realm? Yin in the end, he said. The reincarnation pool. And S. He closed his eyes and placed his hands on his knees. Feng Yinyang took a deep breath and said, Your Majesty, the Ghost Valley Spirit Realm is a fighting technique of the Ghost Valley. It's a battle in the realm of mind. There's no concept of time there. I might wake up in a few breaths, or it might take a few days. Your Majesty, please protect me and ensure that my body won't be hurt. Okay. Yan Chuan nodded. By the way, Your Majesty, don't get within 30 meters of the ghost fire because the reincarnation passage will take you in. The reason he can sit there is because he has the reincarnation pool, so no one can touch his body. Feng Yinyang warned. Okay. Yan Chuan nodded. Chapter 973. In the void, Feng Yinyang and Ghostfire sat cross-legged and slowly closed their eyes. Buzz! Both of their bodies trembled slightly. Then, they fell into a long silence. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, a large number of feng shui masters rushed into the reincarnation pool and appeared in the void. Countless feng shui masters looked around in confusion. Then, a feng shui master flew toward Ghostfire. Sect Master, are you alright? That person quickly approached. However, a suction force came from behind Ghostfire, and that person screamed as he was sucked into the reincarnation passage. Whoosh! That person disappeared without a trace. Countless feng shui masters froze and did not dare to move forward. As for Yan Chuan's group, seeing that Ghostfire was fine, no one dared to cause trouble. After all, the clash between Bai Ditian and Meng Sansheng was deeply engraved in everyone's minds. Yan Chuan, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian protected Feng Yinyang and did not move. At this moment, Ghostfire's body trembled slightly, and a soul slowly emerged from Ghostfire's body. Keek keek. That wisp of soul let out a sinister and evil laugh. Sect Master, are you alright? A feng shui master asked with concern. The wisp of soul was still connected to the wisp in the grave. Keek keek, Ghostfire, you have some tricks up your sleeve. As expected of a descendant of my Mu clan. I destroyed your fate, but you still managed to escape here and achieve what you have today. The reincarnation passage. You can actually open the reincarnation passage. The wisp of soul laughed evilly in surprise. That soul is not Ghostfire. Lu Jin's expression changed. Mu clan. This is a clan. Yan Chuan's expression darkened. The wisp of soul that emerged from the grave will-o-wisp looked around and finally looked at Feng Yinyang. Keek keek, you actually established a consciousness passage with someone else? Through the bloodline of the Mu clan, I can't harm you, but as long as I kill him, your consciousness will be destroyed along with him. Ha ha ha, reincarnation passage. You're really making things easy for me. The soul laughed evilly. Then, the soul waved at the reincarnation passage. Roar! A green dragon soul rushed out of the reincarnation passage and charged towards Feng Yinyang. Boom! Lu Jin punched out and immediately scattered the soul. Oh! Immortal! Ha ha ha! The soul said disdainfully. He continued to wave his hand. Rumble! In an instant, a large number of Yin souls rushed out of the reincarnation passage and pounced on Feng Yinyang. Roar! 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 The divine souls of humans, demons, and dragons were summoned. A large number of divine souls that had been reincarnated were summoned and rushed towards Yan Chuan and the others. Boom! 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 Lu Jin flicked her horsetail whisk and quickly fought against the souls that came one after another. But more and more divine souls appeared. Kakik, at the entrance of the reincarnation passage, I can have as many reincarnated divine souls as I want. Let's see how long you can last. The Mu clan laughed evilly. Then, A large number of souls poured out of the reincarnation passage. Your Majesty, these souls are in a chaotic state. Although they are not as strong as immortals, they are quite extraordinary. The old slave can't hold on much longer. Lu Jin exclaimed. Let me. Bai Ditian stepped forward. Chapter 974. No, his souls are endless. It's useless even if you come. Let me do it. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Ah. Bai Ditian looked at Yan Chuan in confusion. Protect Feng Yinyang well. Yan Chuan instructed and stepped forward. Yan Chuan reached out with his right hand and said, Stellar Cycle. Whoosh. A strange energy suddenly appeared around Yan Chuan. This energy instantly locked onto the 36 souls and pulled them. The souls immediately began to revolve according to a specific trajectory like the rotation of the stars. The souls seemed to have lost their sense of purpose and began to revolve according to the trajectory. Then, they began to attack the other soul. He's controlling the souls that I've enslaved to deal with me. Mu Shi's soul said in surprise. Rumble. The number of God's souls around Yan Chuan quickly increased from 36 to 360, and then to 3,600. More and more souls began to revolve around Yan Chuan. It was as if Yan Chuan had become the center of the universe. Countless stars in the universe were revolving around him rapidly. Rumble. Under Yan Chuan's stellar cycle, more and more souls were being controlled. They swept towards the other side like a storm. Mu Shi's soul could continuously summon souls, but Yan Chuan's control was faster than his. In an instant, the battle became a stalemate. How is this possible? Who are you? How can a mortal have such a profound cultivation technique? What cultivation technique is this? Mu Shi exclaimed. Within the storm of souls, Yan Chuan smiled coldly and ignored him. Rumble. The surging souls began to flow back and collided with Mu Shi's soul again and again. It caused great damage to his soul. Bastard! Mu Shi shouted coldly. Yan Chuan ignored him, paying him back in his own coin. Every soul that came out would flow back. It was much more brilliant than Lu Jin's destruction. About 2 hours later. Buzz! Feng Yinyang and the grave ghost flame trembled. The two of them slowly opened their eyes. Grave phosphorescent bones? You actually chased me all the way here. Since that's the case, go back to reincarnation. Boom! Mu Shi's soul was instantly pushed into the reincarnation passage. Bastard, bastard will-o'-the-wisp. I will come back for you. Mu Shi's soul roared, but in the blink of an eye, it was drowned in the reincarnation passageway. With a wave of Yan Chuan's hand, the rolling souls also entered the reincarnation passage. Only then did the grave ghostfire look at Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang. Who would have thought that in the 100,000 years in the consciousness world, your soul would awaken more and more? Who would have thought that you're actually the reincarnation of our lineage's progenitor? The ghost flame in the grave suddenly spoke. After reincarnating for 10,000 lifetimes, you actually returned. You are Guiguzi. The ghostly flame in the grave narrowed its eyes. Guiguzi? Feng Yinyang asked in confusion. Don't you feel more and more familiar with the Guigu lineage's spells? The ghost flame in the grave said in a deep voice. That's right. Feng Yinyang nodded. You haven't recovered your memories from your previous life, so naturally you don't know. Others might not know who Guiguzi is, but I, Mu Shi, know. Who would have thought that it would be you? Ha ha ha, Guigu's inheritance, I'll return it to you. The ghost flame in the grave suddenly laughed. As it spoke, the ghost flame in the grave took out a black jade token. However, it was only half of a jade token. Sect Master, you can't. The northern sect disciples exclaimed. How could this be passed to the southern sect? Their eyes were filled with greed. If the sect master wanted to pass it down, he could pass it to the northern sect disciples. The ghost flame in the grave glanced coldly at the crowd. Humph. The northern sect disciples immediately fell silent. I'll give it to whoever I want, it's not up to you. The ghost flame in the grave said coldly. Yes. The northern sect disciples nodded gloomily. The jade token flew towards Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang actually took out the other half of the jade token. When the two pieces touched, they actually merged into one. You're giving it to me just like that? Feng Yinyang exclaimed. It's a long story, haha, you don't need to know for now. Anyway, it's because of Guigu's inheritance that I was able to fix my fate. Consider it as me owing Guigu's lineage. Now, I'm returning it to its rightful owner. The reason why I can refine the reincarnation pool is not because I have a deeper understanding of Guigu's inheritance. On the contrary, I can't study Guigu's inheritance at all. This inheritance can only be comprehended by Guiguzi himself. The reason why I can open the reincarnation pool is because of my Musher clan's talent. The reason why I opened the reincarnation pool and this reincarnation passage is actually to enter the reincarnation cycle and reincarnate into the life form I want. The ghost flame in the grave laughed. You want to reincarnate? Feng Yinyang exclaimed. You don't understand the Musher clan. Don't worry about me. Our clan grows through reincarnation. We like to reincarnate. In reincarnation, we can obtain power. The ghost flame in the grave laughed. Northern sect disciples, listen up. From now on, Feng Yinyang is the northern sect master. All Feng Shui masters, listen to my orders. The ghost flame in the grave gave the final order. Yes. Countless Feng Shui masters said blankly. The ghost flame in the grave stood up. Looking at everyone, he finally looked at Feng Yinyang and said, if possible, we'll meet again in the immortal world. Whoosh! The ghost flame in the grave jumped into the reincarnation cycle. The entrance of the reincarnation passage suddenly shrank until it disappeared. Rumble! The void was slowly collapsing as well. Everyone returned to the outside world. The reincarnation pool from before also collapsed after the ghost flame in the grave reincarnated. Everyone was at a loss. The ghost flame in the grave reincarnated. Feng Yinyang became the northern sect master in the blink of an eye. Feng Yinyang grabbed the complete jade token. The Ghost Valley's branch could be considered to have officially merged. Feng Yinyang himself was also at a loss. I'm Guiguzi. The reincarnation of the ancestor of the Ghost Valley clan. Is that true? Yan Chuan and the others also frowned. They were surprised by Feng Yinyang. At the same time, they were also surprised by the ghost flame in the grave. Musher clan. Growing through reincarnation. No wonder he didn't care about his lifespan. What kind of strange clan was this? After reincarnation, didn't they become another person? How did the clan continue? How could they still be called the Musher clan? It seems that my understanding of the immortal world is still too little. Yan Chuan finally could not help but sigh. However, in general, Yan Chuan's harvest this time was enough. Feng Yinyang finally took back the complete inheritance of the Ghost Valley clan. Feng Yinyang also quickly put away his inheritance. Greetings, Sect Master. A group of Feng Shui masters respectfully said. A group of Feng Shui masters remembered the ghost flame's last words. Ancestor. All the Feng Shui masters looked at Feng Yinyang eagerly. Feng Yinyang nodded. He recognized a large number of Feng Shui masters. He took over the entire northern sect. Congratulations, Mr. Feng. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Same to you. Feng Yinyang nodded. At this moment, he was in a good mood. Chapter 975. Atlas Studios, by Ditian, what are you doing? Yao Tiansheng shouted from afar. By Ditian. Meng Sansheng was shocked. Meng Sansheng is the grandfather of the Empress of Great Zhen. I am here on the orders of Great Zhen to save Meng Sansheng. Bai Ditian immediately made his intentions clear. Boom! Bai Ditian struck out with his palm, causing the void to tremble. The two of them, who were originally glued to each other, suddenly separated. The group of great demons surrounded Yao Tiansheng. Meng Sansheng was panting as he looked at Yao Tiansheng coldly. Bai Ditian was in the middle of them, and the three of them formed a triangle as they looked at each other coldly. Bai Ditian had saved Meng Sansheng, but Meng Sansheng was not grateful to Bai Ditian. He knew how precious the primordial gourd was, and he was also worried that Bai Ditian was here to snatch it. Swish! Yan Chuan, Lu Jin, Feng Yinyang, Meng Hongying, and Ninth Rat immediately flew over. The group of great demons also flew behind Yao Tiansheng. Grandfather! Meng Hongying flew over worriedly. Saint Lord! Ninth Rat also flew over. Bai Ditian slowly retreated behind Yan Chuan. At this moment, Meng Sansheng looked at Yan Chuan seriously. At the same time, he understood that not only had he misjudged Yao Tiansheng, but he had misjudged Yan Chuan as well. Yan Chuan, what are you trying to do? Yao Tiansheng narrowed his eyes and asked in a low voice. Yan Chuan smiled and said in a deep voice, my wife, ZZ. Although Meng Sansheng did not take care of ZZ in the past, he is still ZZ's grandfather. I have to interfere. Ha 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 ha, interfere. I think you are also interested in his primordial gourd. Don't tell me you have not thought about it. Yao Tiansheng laughed coldly. Meng Sansheng narrowed his eyes. Who doesn't like treasures in the world? However, I am different from you. There are some things that can be done, and some things that cannot be done. Meng Sansheng, if you are willing to stay, I will help you to chase Yao Tiansheng away. If you are not willing to stay, then leave. I will help you to stop Yao Tiansheng. Yan Chuan said solemnly. N? Yao Tiansheng's face. Yan did not want to obtain the primordial gourd. Meng Sansheng looked at Yan Chuan in surprise. But Meng Sansheng still took a deep breath and said, then I'll be leaving first. See you Xia Meng Tian Meng. Meng Sansheng looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression. Hongying, Ninth Rat, let's go. Meng Sansheng swung the grand mist gourd, stepped on it, and quickly flew away. Meng's Meng Yao Yao, Yao, Yao 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 Yao. Who? Yan Chuan and the others immediately stood in front of Yao Tiansheng. Demon Yao Shen Tian 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 Meng Yu Tian Tian Shen Tian Ming Ming. Bai Ditian, Lu Jin, and Feng Yinyang were all accumulating their power and waiting for Yan Chuan's command. Yao Tiansheng stared at Yan Chuan. His eyes flashed with irritation. All the great beasts gathered their auras. Once Yao Tiansheng gave the order, they would attack. The two sides looked at each other. Their battle intent soared, but no one took a step forward. Meng Sansheng, who had flown far away, turned around. When he saw Yan Chuan blocking in front of Yao Tiansheng, he raised his eyebrows. Although Meng Sansheng was confused, he did not stop. His injuries from fighting a mystic immortal were too severe. He had to go back and recuperate. Yan Chuan and Yao Tiansheng looked at each other coldly. Yao Tiansheng could tell that Yan Chuan was determined to stop him. Did he really not want the primordial gourd? The great beasts behind him were getting stronger. They were waiting for Yao Tiansheng's order. Ha 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 ha, Yan Chuan. The first time I fought with the ancient moon holy child in sound technique, you ruined it. I knew you were extraordinary, but today, I realized that I still underestimated you. You didn't even move in the face of such a precious treasure. Yao Tiansheng said with a dark expression. I said that he is my wife's ancestor. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Yao Tiansheng smiled coldly. Your wife's ancestor? Do you think I will believe you? You don't care about the primordial gourd. This means that you have greater ambitions. You are only so bold because of your greater ambitions. Thank you. You flatter me. Yan Chuan said casually. You know very well whether you flatter me or not. Let's go. Yao Tiansheng said coldly. Ah. The demon emperor is leaving just like that? All the great beasts were shocked. However, Yao Tiansheng did not care. He waved his sleeves and walked away. When the group of great demons saw this, they glared at Yan Chuan angrily before leaving with Yao Tiansheng. Why did Yao Tiansheng leave just like that? Lu Jin was confused. A battle without benefits is the stupidest battle. Moreover, we still have to go to the Archaic Mysteries sect. Yao Tiansheng does not want to suffer any injuries here. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and explained. N. Lu Jin nodded. She finally understood. Watching the two parties leave, Yan Chuan's heart was at ease. In this battle, it seemed like he was the only one who benefited. Feng Yinyang, since you have become the leader of the northern sect, move the northern sect back to Great Zhen as soon as possible. Yan Chuan looked at Feng Yinyang and said. Yes. I just wanted to say that I have just received the Phantom Valley's inheritance and need some time to cultivate. I might not be able to follow your majesty to the Archaic Mysteries sect. Feng Yinyang sighed. Since that is the case, you can stay here. After you control the northern sect, you can return to Great Zhen. Yan Chuan looked at Feng Yinyang and said. Yes. Feng Yinyang replied. Let's go. Yan Chuan said. Bai Ditian and Lu Jin nodded. The three of them flew towards the north again. Above the blue sky. Meng Sanqing flew quickly with Ren Rat and Meng Hongying. Meng Sanqing sat on the Hong Meng gourd and meditated for a while before opening his eyes. Grandfather, are we still going to the Archaic Mysteries sect? Meng Hongying asked. No. I am too tired from the battle with the Xian Immortal. I need to return to the divine world to recuperate. Meng Sanqing said. Holy Lord is right. What is the Archaic Mysteries sect? Holy Lord is someone who can kill Xian Immortals. Once Jing Ting leaves, Holy Lord will be the strongest in the mortal realm. That Yao Tiansheng took advantage of the situation. Ren Rat complained. Meng Sanqing frowned and thought for a while before saying, Archaic Mysteries sect. This time, all the heroes of the world have gathered. Ninth Rat, go and take a look for me. Ah. Me? Ren Rat exclaimed. He looked unwilling. Yes, you. Meng Sanqing's face darkened. Okay, okay. Ren Rat said gloomily. Swish. Meng Sanqing threw Ren Rat out. Meng Sanqing quickly left with Meng Hongying, leaving Ren Rat to look into the distance. Seeing Meng Sanqing leave, Ren Rat said sadly, why was I so stupid to agree to join the Archaic Mysteries sect for 1,000 years? I was so happy in the past. I dug up other people's ancestral graves, stole their treasuries, and destroyed their descendants. Now, for the sake of the Archaic Mysteries sect, I have to rush to my death. Alas, I only have one life. Ren Rat shook his head and sighed, forget it. I don't have many years left. Once the time is up, I will be free. When that time comes, I will return to the immortal world. Damn it, I found an ancient great god's grave last time. I hope no one finds it. Chapter 976. Atlas Studios North Divine Continent. Yan Chuan, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian landed on the peak of a mountain. In front of them was a thick fog that covered an extremely wide area. The fog had many colors: purple, white, green, and green. It made the sea of fog look extremely dazzling and colorful. This is the Archaic Mysteries sect. Lu Jin frowned and asked. Don't underestimate this sea of fog. It is actually an extremely powerful fate array. Bai Ditian explained. Fate array. Lu Jin didn't understand. 1 is fate, 2 is fate, 3 is feng shui, 4 is yin virtue, and 5 is merit. The Archaic Mysteries sect cultivates fate. It is said that they have a deep understanding of fate. Their array can even directly connect to fate. Their array is known as the Fate Array. The Archaic Mysteries sect is the only sect in the world that cultivates fate. Their requirements for selecting disciples are even stricter than feng shui masters. Feng shui masters only look at the conditions of the current life, but fate cultivators have to compete for 3 lifetimes. They have to have a specific birthday and a specific bone structure. Not a single one can be missing. Bai Ditian explained. Compete for 3 lifetimes? Lu Jin was shocked. Of course, no one is so powerful that they can predict the past. However, legend has it that there is a world tree in the celestial world. The world tree has existed since the world was formed. The world tree has experienced everything in the world and also recorded everything in the world. Fate cultivators only need to borrow a branch from the world tree to predict many things in the past. Every disciple that cultivates fate cultivators are selected through the world tree's branches. Bai Ditian explained. World tree. Lu Jin was shocked. Can the world tree really predict the past life? Yan Chuan looked at Bai Ditian. Bai Ditian nodded and said, yes. In my previous life, I met the sect leader of the Archaic Mysteries sect. By chance, he helped me predict some things. Although it wasn't comprehensive, it still benefited me greatly. The Archaic Mysteries sect has a branch from the world tree? Yan Chuan was shocked. Even in his previous life, he had only heard about it. It was said that in the celestial world, the world tree was protected by all the heroes of the world. Anyone who dared to break its branches would be punished by all the celestial world. Yes, the Celestial Arcanum sect has one. However, I have to hold it with my hand before it can help me deduce the future. This is the Celestial Arcanum sect's sect head's token of inheritance. It is the Celestial Arcanum sect's most important treasure. It can help me deduce the situation in my previous life. Bai Ditian nodded with certainty. Furthermore, Bai Ditian condensed his dermic powers, and an illusion appeared in Bai Ditian's palm. It was a yellow wooden stake that was as thick as an arm. It was filled with runes. Yan Chuan and Lu Jin widened their eyes in bewilderment. This is the branch of the world tree, the #1 treasure of the Celestial Arcanum sect. Bai Ditian said proudly. Yan Chuan and Lu Jin were still at a loss. Is this the branch of the world tree? Yan Chuan asked with a strange tone. Yeah. I can't be wrong. It's the Celestial Arcanum sect head's keepsake. Bai Ditian nodded with certainty. Yan Chuan and Lu Jin were silent for a while. Everyone was silent. Your Majesty, what's wrong? Bai Ditian asked in confusion. Finally, Yan Chuan nodded at Lu Jin. Lu Jin casually took out a yellow wooden stake from her interspatial artifact. The runes on the wooden stake were exactly the same as the one that Bai Ditian had condensed using his dermic powers. Bai Ditian. Oh. It was too fake. Bai Ditian really wanted to say that it was fake. However, in this short moment, there was no time for Lu Jin to make a fake. It was exactly the same. The #1 treasure of the Celestial Arcanum sect. The branch of the world tree. Why was it in Lu Jin's hands? How was this possible? Chapter 977. Bai Ditian felt honored that he was the only person who had seen the branch of the world tree. But now, Lu Jin took one out like a radish. This, how can this be? How did this come about? Bai Ditian exclaimed. One of the things my parents left behind for me. Yan Chuan explained. Things left behind? Back then, Yan Tao had left behind 3 things for Yan Chuan. One was a map, which allowed him to find the Holy Light Stone and forge the God's Sword. Now, the second thing was the Celestial Mysteries sect leader's token. Things left behind? Bai Ditian was slightly confused. Was this a joke? The Celestial Mysteries sect leader's token was the lifeblood of the Celestial Mysteries sect. How could it be in Yan Tao's hands? Looking at Bai Ditian's complicated gaze, Yan Chuan said, Lu Jin, let Bai Ditian take a look. It's nothing much. Oh. Lu Jin handed it over. Bai Ditian received it carefully, his entire body petrified. Amidst the endless colorful fog, there was a huge palace. Inside the palace, a white-haired elder sat cross-legged as if he was in seclusion. Suddenly, the elder raised his eyebrows and opened his eyes, revealing an extremely shocked expression. Whoosh! The elder suddenly stood up. Quang! The door to the palace opened. Another 3 white-haired elders hurried in. Senior brother, can you feel it? The 3 old men asked excitedly. That's right. It's the Celestial Mysteries sect leader's token. The previous sect leader had fallen, and the whereabouts of our World Tree branch were unknown. We sent so many people to search for it and calculated for so many years, but to no avail. It actually appeared near our Celestial Mysteries sect. Let's go, let's go. The leading elder rushed out of the palace excitedly. The other 3 elders also rushed out excitedly and flew into the depths of the fog. At this moment, not only did the 4 elders feel it, but about 100 people in the Celestial Mysteries sect also felt it. They all flew into the sky excitedly. Including Heavenly Lady Zhaoafang. Bai Ditian grabbed the World Tree's branch and inspected it in a daze. Lu Jin looked at Yan Chuan and said, Your Majesty, aren't we here too early? There are still a few months before it starts. Yan Chuan shook his head lightly and said, It's not early. We still have things to do. Yes. Lu Jin nodded. After saying that, the 2 of them looked at Bai Ditian. Bai Ditian, how is it? Is this true? Yan Chuan asked. It's true, it's definitely true. Bai Ditian said in confusion. As long as it's a branch of the World Tree. Yan Chuan smiled. Boom. Suddenly, the fog not far away shook, and in the blink of an eye, over 100 figures suddenly appeared in front of Yan Chuan's group. Almost everyone turned their gazes to Bai Ditian's hands after looking at the 3 of them for a while. Is it really a world branch? The leading old man asked excitedly. The group of elders at the front looked very excited. It was as if they couldn't wait to snatch it. Bai Ditian's expression changed, and he immediately kept the world branch. Bai Ditian knew that this was definitely the Celestial Mysteries sect's token, but he wasn't a good person. Now, this world branch belonged to Yan Chuan. Naturally, he had to protect it well. However, Yan Chuan looked at Heavenly Lady Zhaoafang. He was very excited. Bai Ditian? Long time no see. The leading old man immediately smiled politely. Bai Ditian smiled and said, Greetings to the Celestial Mysteries sect leader. Bai Ditian, in your hand. The leading old man said excitedly, but he was interrupted by Bai Ditian. Chapter 978. This item in my hand belongs to him. It's the private property of the great Jin Emperor. Bai Ditian said immediately. The moment Bai Ditian said this, the leading elder instantly understood and immediately looked at Yan Chuan. I'm the current sect master of the Archaic Mysteries sect, Yun Xian. Greetings, Yan Di, the old man said politely. Clearly, he had seen Yan Chuan's portrait and recognized him immediately. I've heard a lot about the Archaic Mysteries sect. Sect Master Yun, you're too polite. Yan Chuan smiled. The old man smiled and asked, Yan Di, where did you get the item in by Ditian's hand? Yan Chuan looked at the world branch and smiled. It's something my father left behind. Left behind? The Archaic Mysteries sect disciples frowned. How did your father get this item? Yun Xan asked again. My father picked it up and brought it here. Yan Chuan smiled. Picked it up. Yun Xian and the others frowned again. How were they supposed to continue asking? Yan Chuan obviously wouldn't tell them the truth. Seeing how troubled they were, Yan Chuan smiled. Yan Di, this item is called the World Branch. It's a keepsake of the sect master of the Archaic Mysteries sect. It belonged to the previous sect master, Yun Yi. Yun Xian said immediately. Sect Master Yun, you've misunderstood. It's mine, not the Archaic Mysteries sect's. Yan Chuan interrupted. How dare you? That belongs to the Archaic Mysteries sect. You thieves! The disciples behind Yun Xian shouted angrily. Yan Chuan's face turned cold. Yun Xian waved her hand and stopped them from shouting. She turned around and said, Yan Di, please don't blame me for not disciplining them well. Only then did Yan Chuan's expression soften. Yan Di, only fate stealers like us can use this item. Others can't use it at all. Yun Xian said again. Yan Chuan smiled. I like collecting. Sect Master Yun, please don't think about it. Don't think about it? How was that possible? Yan Di, this is indeed the world branch of my Archaic Mysteries sect. Bai Ditian can testify. It was accidentally lost by the previous Celestial Arcanum sect head. The old man smiled bitterly. Yan Chuan nodded his head and said, I understand, and I also believe in it. However, the Celestial Arcanum sect was lost in the end. It's like you accidentally found an immortal equipment in a desolate mountain forest. Would you find the descendant of the owner of the immortal equipment and give it to him? Are all of you so noble? Everyone. Yun Xian smiled bitterly, Yama Emperor, this world's branch is extremely important to my Heaven's Mysteries sect, so please accept it. Of course, if there's anything you need, as long as it doesn't go against the beliefs and principles of my Heaven's Mysteries sect, we will do our best to satisfy you. Everyone looked at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan was silent for a moment. Finally, he took a deep breath and nodded. It's not that I can't give the world branch to the Archaic Arcanum sect, but as long as you agree to my two conditions, I'll give you the world branch with both hands. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said. Everyone was overjoyed. There's one thing I have to ask for your forgiveness. My Heaven's God creation plan cannot be compromised because of this. Yun Xian said with a frown. Don't worry, I won't go against your beliefs and principles. Yan Chuan nodded. Yan Di is righteous. Yun Xian smiled. First, I hope that before the God creation plan starts, I can stay near the Heavenly Lady and have her sit and discuss the Tao with me for a few months. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Sit and discuss the Tao. Everyone looked at Yan Chuan in confusion. Yes, I won't harass the Heavenly Lady. I just want her to listen to some stories. Even if it's just for 2 hours a day, it's fine. Yan Chuan looked at the Heavenly Lady and said. Stories? The Fate Usurpers. Chapter 979. Tell stories. The Fate Usurpers looked at Yan Chuan blankly. What kind of condition was that? Listen to your stories for a few months? The Fate Usurpers became excited again. Then, they looked at Zhao Afang. Holy Maiden, the branch of the world is no small matter. You know that even in the immortal world, our Archaic Arcanum sect only has a few branches. Yun Xian looked at Zhao Afang expectantly. Zhao Afang was silent for a while, then finally nodded under everyone's expectant gaze. All right, thank you, Holy Maiden. Yun Xian said excitedly. Yan Chuan, on the other hand, smiled in satisfaction. Yan Di, the holy maiden has already agreed to the first condition. Tell us the second one. Yun Xian said again. I haven't thought of the second condition yet. Can you let me think about it? Yan Chuan smiled. Oh. The fate usurpers raised their eyebrows. Of course, before the God creation plan starts, I will definitely say it. And at that time, I will hand over the branch of the world with both hands. Yan Chuan smiled. The fate usurpers frowned. In the end, they nodded. Several days later. In the sea of fog. In an extremely exquisite pavilion. On a balcony of the pavilion. Several maids were waiting on a jade table in the center. Yan Chuan and Xiao Afang were drinking tea. Yan Di, I've already said that I'm not Jinro, and I've also gained enlightenment about my previous life. I know who my previous life was, and I'm definitely not Jinro. Xiao Afang said as he drank tea. Yan Chuan smiled and said, do you know, although you can't see, your clear appearance is exactly the same as Jinro's back then. Xiao Afang frowned. Don't worry, I won't force you to admit it. I just want to tell you how I met Jinro during this time. Yan Chuan smiled. Only then did Xiao Afang relax. Do I look like Jinro? Xiao Afang asked curiously. Dongfang Zhenpai has already told me that you used mind reading on me, right? Yan Chuan smiled. Xiao Afang frowned. Apparently, he did not expect Dongfang Zhenpai to betray him. But in the end, he nodded and said, that's right. That day, I saw that you were chasing me in a hurry and spread news about me everywhere. So, I came back to find you. But at that time, you were already unconscious, so I had no choice. Seeing Xiao Afang's guilt, Yan Chuan did not blame him. If you can see Jinro's appearance in my heart, then you will know that your appearance is exactly the same. Even the number and position of your eyebrows are exactly the same. Is there really such a thing in the world? Xiao Afang asked in surprise. Xiao Afang didn't believe that she was Jinro, but Yan Chuan firmly believed that she was Jinro. As the two of them chatted, Yan Chuan began to describe everything about Jinro from the beginning. Just like that, Yan Chuan began to talk about everything about Jinro every day. Every day, he would talk about different things. It was as if as long as Yan Chuan spoke, there would be endless stories. East Divine Continent, Julu Academy. At the entrance to the radiant world. Meng Lingtian looked at the blue-robed man in front of him. Sima Yuntian. It was Sima Yuntian, who had competed with Yan Chuan in the investiture of the gods during the Heavenly Bestowment Conference. At this moment, 72 disciples stood behind Sima Yuntian. Compared to decades ago, each of them was much more refined, and their auras were much more stable. Sima Yuntian was still as heroic as before. Just this aura alone was like a sharp blade that could cut through all obstacles. He was incomparably domineering as he coldly looked at Meng Lingtian. Chapter 980. Dongfang Zhenpai stood at the side. Old Meng, I've found Sima Yuntian. Ha, Old Meng, don't stop me now. Dongfang Zhenpai said excitedly. Meng Lingtian looked at Dongfang Zhenpai and smiled bitterly. Finally, he nodded. Forget it. Rotten wood can't be carved. I won't care about you anymore. Oh. Old Meng, today I realized that you are really too kind. Your words are like the sun, warming my heart and lungs. Dongfang Zhenpai said in a mushy manner. Meng Lingtian's face twitched. Finally, he said, shut up. If you continue, go back and copy books. Dongfang Zhenpai's face turned serious. It was as if he hadn't spoken at all. Meng Lingtian. Sima Yuntian frowned at the immortal in front of him. The 72 disciples behind him also looked at the immortal in front of them in shock. Sima Yuntian, we finally meet. Your literary style is amazing. Even I can't compare to you. Meng Lingtian exclaimed. Sima Yuntian smiled and said confidently, Meng Lingtian, you didn't call me back just to say this, right? Of course not. Meng Lingtian shook his head. Oh. Back then, the founder, Dong Fangbu Bai, found your ancestors somewhere and asked the Julu Academy to take care of the Sima descendants. At the same time, he left you a secret letter from your ancestor. Meng Lingtian said. My ancestor's secret letter? Ha! Sima Yuntian said in disbelief. How could his ancestor know about him? I know you don't believe me and have a grudge against the Julu Academy. However, although the Julu Academy restricted you, they still taught you everything about the Sima family. Furthermore, the founder said that after reading your ancestor's letter, your grudge will disappear. Meng Lingtian said. Ha ha ha, my ancestor wrote a letter to me? How do you expect me to believe that? Sima Yuntian said. Your Sima family has always been the sole heir. The founder left a message in the radiant world. When it's the 49th generation of the Sima family, he can leave it to you. Meng Lingtian said. Meng Lingtian took out a jade box. Looking at the box, Sima Yuntian felt a connection with it. How could this be? This jade box can only be opened with the blood and will of a Sima family disciple. Outsiders can't open it at all. Meng Lingtian laughed. Sima Yuntian frowned. He no longer looked at the jade box, but at Meng Lingtian. Since it was left to me by my ancestor, you should have given it to me a long time ago, but you delayed it until now? Are you going to use it to return the terms to me? Sima Yuntian asked solemnly. Meng Lingtian nodded his head in satisfaction. Sima Yuntian, you are indeed worthy of being Julu Academy's #1 mortal sage. Sima Yuntian looked at Meng Lingtian with rapt attention. The world is about to fall into chaos. The Northern Celestial Arcanum sect can also see that a huge storm is about to engulf the entire sealed world. A great calamity is about to befall this world. Meng Lingtian said in a deep voice. Great tribulation. Sima Yuntian narrowed his eyes. Yes, the great calamity. Under the great calamity, the archaic Arcanum sect, the Julu Academy, the archaic sects, the sacred grounds, and many other powerful sects will all be annihilated. Meng Lingtian took a deep breath and said. Oh. Sima Yuntian was surprised. If my Julu Academy wants to pass through this calamity, we must plan thoroughly. I have thought about it for a long time. The Julu Academy should focus on defending the East Divine Continent. With me in charge of the Julu Academy, I hope that you can represent the Julu Academy and enter the Great Jin Empire. Everything should be done with the Julu Academy first. Meng Lingtian said solemnly. Chapter 982. North Divine Continent. Not far from the archaic mysteries sect, a stream of light flashed across the west. Rumble. Rumbling sounds could be heard as more than 300 draconic horses pulled a group of experts over. One of them was the dignified Kong Mok, and the other was the dean of the Western Confucius Academy, Kong Daoqiu. Kong Mok was clad in golden chainmail, and he looked extremely mighty. On the other hand, Kong Daoqiu was clad in white and exuded a faint aura of righteousness. Although he looked calm, there was a hint of ruthlessness in his eyes. Stop! Kong Mok bellowed. The 300 draconic horses suddenly stopped at the peak of a mountain. Kong Mok and Kong Daoqiu landed on a mountain peak. There are still 2 months before it starts. I'll go find Yun Xian first. It's been a long time since we played chess. I'll help you ask about the situation. Kong Daoqiu said lightly. Kong Mok nodded and said, all right, I have some personal matters to attend to. The two separated and Kong Daoqiu headed straight for the Archaic Mysteries sect. Kong Mok and the rest of his men turned their horses around and rode in another direction. 10 days later. Not far from the Archaic Mysteries sect. In a valley, Ninth Rat was lying on a deck chair with a palm leaf fan in his hand. In front of him was a large group of rats that he had just summoned. Although Ninth Rat had just entered the upper emptiness realm, he was extremely sensitive to news due to his fearful nature. As he lay down leisurely, the large group of rats in front of him quickly reported to him what had happened. Squeak squeak squeak. Squeak squeak squeak. Squeak squeak squeak. Thousands of rats kept reporting to this ancestor of unknown origin what they had seen during this period of time. Ninth Rat fanned himself with his palm leaf fan while pinching the rat's beard. His eyes kept darting around. Wait, you said that a group of monks were guarding a valley outside the Ning Chui Palace and killed a large number of your descendants? Ninth Rat suddenly pointed at a large rat and asked. The rat seemed to have some experience and immediately nodded. Monks? The North Divine Continent doesn't produce monks. Could it be the Thousand Buddha's holy ground? And the Ning Chui Palace? The palace master of the Condensed Jade Palace, Ma Daoquan, seems to have a blood feud with the 10,000 Buddha's holy land? Ren Rat's expression changed. The rat jumped up and down and kept telling the rat about the valley. Ren Rat's eyes gradually came to life. You said that the valley is radiating golden light. Could it be a treasure? That's right, I don't want to participate in that bullshit God creation plan anyway. There are still nearly 2 months left, so I might as well go and take a look. Who knows, I might even be able to steal something while I'm at it. Kakik. Ren Rat jumped up from the recliner. With a wave of his hand, he chased away the group of rats, leaving only the rat that had discovered the monk. After tidying up a bit, Ren Rat said, "Let's go. I'll go with you to take a look." 2 hours later. Outside a valley, there were 10 bald monks standing outside. They stood guard in all directions, not allowing any living beings to approach. Furthermore, the entire valley was enveloped by a large number of formations, isolating it from the outside world. In a distant mountain forest, Ninth Rat pinched its whiskers as its expression flickered. Sure enough, there is a situation. However, this formation is not a problem for my rat race. When I reach the legendary realm, I can even drill a hole in the sky, let alone this lousy formation. Ninth Rat laughed. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The rat that was leading the way squeaked. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.